This episode of the Cooptional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain name, website, or online store, make your next move with squarespace.com/cooptional. What better way to experience the E3 press conferences than through the lens of two utterly miserable people? Streaming live on twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit over the E3 weekend, myself and Jenna will be covering, riffing on, and generally pissing on the parade of the big E3 press conferences. Check out the schedule on the screen right now and tune in live. Uncut VODs available immediately for Twitch subscribers and supercut videos coming to youtube.com/cynicalbrit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cooptional Podcast. I got nothing better than that. I don't know if any of you did. No.
Podoptional. Positional. No.
All I know is that every other suggestion that I saw.
Co-op podquisitional.
Yes,
yeah,
nice.
That
just rolls off the tongue.
It will. It will. It doesn't right now. It will.
You are
co-op
going to.
There we are. Co-op podquisitional.
There you go. You're going to round that square peg in the round hole, whether it likes it or not.
I'll have to mix the two themes together.
Mm.
We ain't gonna linger and wallow in co-option.
Just in the middle, just randomly put that bit anywhere. Just anywhere. It doesn't even have to make sense. Be lovely. Oh, man.
Tune in. We're talking to you about porn and all the things Jim and Laura talk about.
Nobody ever said this was PG-13 rated, which is why it's proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% of your first order and a free trial. Trust me, they are on the cutting edge of marketing, as you can tell by our wonderful custom advertising. Yeah.
Well, you're on the cutting edge of marketing there, man. That was impressive.
I've never been on a podcast where they do that. Like, yeah. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, like where they talk about Blue Apron.
Yeah, I've been on one of those. It was a little unnerving because it's like it's a live ad read that they're clearly doing, kind of from a script, but very much trying to say, I really love it. Me and my wife have now learned to cook and do all that kind of thing. It's a very old school way of podcasting, I think. Mm-hmm. It's a very, this is what FM radio did for 40 years, so this is how we do it kind of way.
Bringing you in on the advert, letting you in on their life and how much they like the product and everything.
Yeah.
Marlboro cigarettes. That smooth drag.
No.
Right?
We do not endorse that.
What was this? Yes, marijuana. That's smooth drag. What was I doing?
Lucky Strike. It's toasted.
Hey, Fred, are we off to smoke some marijuana? We sure are, born.
Then girls dressed up as joints come out and dance like marijuana. Yeah, absolutely.
It's lovely.
Clap the place up.
Well, we got ourselves a 5-person show today. We've only tried that once before. It was okay. Gav asked before the show, is this going to be a train wreck? I said, that a lot of that is up to you, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem with the myself and Laura and Gavin is we are somewhat notorious for speaking over each other constantly.
Let's be honest here now. The problem with you and Laura.
Well, the problem with me and Gavin's connection is that we all talk over each other.
We're talking about Gav's in there connection. Yours is given out already.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was like, "Is my connection actually giving out?"
No, Jim's frozen in.
It's fine. I'm just going to be nice and well behaved and quiet this week, and be like, I'll just wait my turn, and I'll pretend that I know what I'm doing, and that I'm not just going to talk over everyone. I can be polite. We
did try and do that. Well, I think There you go, Jim's back. I think with a voice over IP show, especially a live one,
you go away.
You did it, but
did.
you paused.
I wasn't disconnected.
You
I wasn't
not.
disconnected.
Just as
I
you
could
were
still
talking
hear
about
you
this.
all.
Oh God!
I could still hear you all. It was like I died, and I was like, can you see like Beetlejuice or something? And like you were all walking through me metaphorically.
So let's just say
horrifying.
this. Well, we've now got 2 Lauras. Your camera has been replaced by Laura's for some reason on my screen. This is already starting out well.
Can I just say, this is what I have to wrangle on a weekly basis, these two. Somehow I put a show together week after week with these two falling apart like this.
Well, my internet dropped out during the sound check, so it's very likely to again.
Yeah, that was lovely as well. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way of getting Jim's camera back. At the moment, yeah, we're dealing with 2 laws. We've done the 3 Dodgers show before. That didn't go well. So this is a great start.
Well, I can see Jim. Can you see Jim,
Oh,
Laura?
I can see him. He's right there.
I can see all of you.
I can see Jim.
Yeah, that's not a problem. It's just XSplit has decided that he doesn't exist anymore.
I am a person.
I fundamentally disagree with.
Do I not bleed?
I imagine
we have no confirmation of that.
We do not. That is true. I'm trying to fix you. I'm doing the best I can.
I don't mind this too much because this is all just my grand plan. Is I'm going to quietly be polite and be nice until I can like replace everyone's video feed, and it'll just be me. And
slowly taking over like a virus. Yeah. As I'll give you this. I'm trying to. There we go. I've got a Jim camera. I was trying to re-add Jim's camera, and every one of the ones I was selecting ended up being you in some way. Like this is this sounds deliberate. There's some sort of plot going on here.
Yeah, you cannot resist the Laura takeover. I am everywhere.
Can anyone hear me?
Oh, we can hear you fine.
Yeah,
we got you. You're right here.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're not trapped in the fandom zone. Don't worry, we got you. It's all good.
I can't really buy
out there.
Right, I had you back, and now you bloody disappeared again.
What?
I don't know what it is.
I can see him.
I can see him.
Hear me?
I can absolutely see him, but
I love that we've all come on, and just the show so far has entirely just been tech support.
This has already turned into Podquisition.
I just want to point out before we started, our 3 lovely guests were talking about how much more professional we were and how everything was just going so well.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Their podcast was a mess. I'll have you know, we are just as much of a mess. How dare you think we're professional?
Things kind of break when we're around.
Indeed. All right, I'm going to try this once more. Right, I got Jim's face back. It's looking good.
Am I here?
Yeah. Right.
Hello.
Okay, Jim's face is back. So close the preview window. Apply changes to actual scene before closing. Oh, I see what you're doing. You sneaky little. There we go.
I'm just going to enjoy the remaining time I have of me being everyone.
I got you. Jim's back. I've tricked the program into doing what I wanted to do. I'm just hoping it will continue to do that.
Am I not everyone anymore?
Oh. No.
I enjoyed momentarily being a god.
Merely yourself, I'm afraid. But that is more than enough for this wonderful show. This is our pre-3. Yeah, catchy, right? Yeah, styling. Marketable. It's our pre-3 show. So it's you ready for annual piss on the parade? Because that's probably what's going to happen. We won't be talking much about predictions. We're talking about what we know is coming to E3, which right now, to their credit, is not a lot. They've been pretty buttoned up on the leaks up to this point.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of cards have been kept close to their chest. I was going through the rumor mill before we started, and a lot of it's just they're presented as rumors, but they're more predictions. It's more like, here's a rumor that I'm starting in front of you all now, because it stands to reason that Bethesda will have, their big open universe RPG. It just stands to reason. It's like, that's not really a rumor. It's you saying it stands to reason.
Yes. There's a few things we confidently know, like the Assassin's Creed Egypt that has been going around since like January last year. That like T-shirts.
Assassin's Creed Power Slave, Laura.
Assassin's Creed Power Slave.
Hey, I'm going to see Maiden on Friday. Can't wait. Yeah.
I think.
I saw them a couple of weeks ago, man.
Oh yes.
Yeah. We had an entire Podquisition full of Iron Maiden puns, so
Lovely.
I'm not going to do that again.
You say full of Iron Maiden puns. It was one Iron Maiden pun that we just said a lot because we thought it was so clever that we stopped there.
I think I'm going to have to try and better you on that one. It's going to have to happen. Yeah. I'll start dropping them in throughout the show. So you might not even notice. We'll see. Check Gav's cred on this one. His Iron Maiden purity test, as it were.
It's fine. Just as long as we don't record this for too long, because I've got to be done by at least 2 minutes to midnight.
All right, I forgot. They were doing real puns. I was so proud of when I just said that Iron Maiden were going to call themselves Iron Brew to celebrate Gav's Irish heritage.
Oh, no, not again.
It's him gone again.
He was gone.
Why is he getting these two on?
I have made a horrible mistake, apparently. We don't, the internet is just not there yet. The technology is not there yet. Oh my. It'll pop up in a minute, wondering why I've been so rude talking over him. It's like, I just hope his camera doesn't disappear again. Oh no. He's such a trooper, that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other games that we know are coming, because was it Ubisoft that talked about a bunch of their stuff that they're going to be showing? They just like laid all their cards out on the table.
Possibly.
Probably now be just Ghost Recon DLC or something.
Yeah, it's Far Cry 5 and Dirt, another Dirt game, I think. Maybe?
I mean, Dirt 4 just came out, and that's also Codemasters, so I don't think it was Dirt. I think they said something about Steep, maybe?
There's like it's like a word, one of those like crappy words that they name games after. Yeah. I'm trying to think of, not Dirt or Steep. I know, one of them crappy words.
Yeah, they also told us that they're having a Switch game that they haven't talked about yet that totally isn't that Rabbids RPG.
Yeah, the Mario plus Rabbids crossover title.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? That game's gonna make $1 billion. It's gonna.
I'll play it.
Like, I guarantee you now.
Is that the one you leaked, Laura?
It's the one that I've been talking about for ages. I guarantee it's going to make all the money, because as I understand it, like, Splatoon was Nintendo being like, we want to make online shooters for kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically, like, as I understand it, going to be XCOM for family-friendly kids.
I'm all in.
Strategy RPG aimed at kids.
And then
one will probably appreciate as well, right? Yeah,
I mean, if we want online shooters for kids, we've already got Call of Duty.
Hey.
It's a fast-paced game. You got to be quick or be dead.
Yeah, you do. True enough.
Yeah, Nintendo laid their cards out. Like, we know that their main thing is Mario. Just Mario for hours.
I mean, they'll probably drop something that we don't know about.
They will.
Oh, Mario plays in traffic. I can't wait for that game.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I imagine we'll probably see a lot of third-party support announced for Switch. Because, at this point, it's pretty clear this is a successful launch and is going to continue to be. It's not exactly dangerous to get behind Switch now. So
yeah, it's selling well enough out the gate that I'd be surprised if, at the very least, we don't get, like, 2 or 3 year old ports to Switch, even if it's only that. I hope it's better than that, but I don't doubt that now they're going to at least put something third party on there.
Yeah,
ultimately 3 would be a nice surprise.
It would. I mean, ultimately, I'll take any port for the Switch because you're turning something that wasn't portable into something that now is. And that, to me, is enough to justify a rebuy for certain games. So, obviously, I'd like them to add new stuff, but I think porting to the Switch is a much more sensible idea than porting to the Wii U. Nobody got excited about Batman Up Armored Edition for Wii U, or, hey, Darksiders is here 5 years late, or whatever. But for Switch, it's an obvious sell. I can take this with me now.
Yeah,
I'd like them to add a save backup. That's what I'd like them to add to the Switch.
It would be nice if you
What's
could
been going
actually,
on with that? I don't have one yet.
Your saves are currently locked to your console. You can't move them to micro SD. You can't put them on the game card.
Why?
They are on your
there's
console.
No cloud.
There's no cloud backups.
So
no
if you're like sitting by the pool and drop your Switch in, there goes your fucking 200 hours on Zelda.
Yeah, for a portable, that's a really bad idea. Yeah, that certainly sounds like Nintendo being behind the times in the weirdest ways. It's like you make some revolutionary,
which is the most Nintendo thing ever.
It really is. It's like, look at what the Joy-Cons can do. Look at this portable system. Look at the cool technology, and we trip up on the most basic shit that everybody else has taken for granted for the past 10 years. Yeah.
Joy-Con.
I haven't tried them yet. Honestly, really, at this point, if I was going to get a Switch, it would be for the portability, and it does sound like the Joy-Cons might wreck my hands, so I don't know.
They're perfect for me because I have, like, these slender, dainty hands that, like, you know, most game controllers, all big and clunky, hate those, but I'm like, no, tiny, tiny, small controllers, they're perfect for me.
I've got fucking piano hands.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really a lot else at the moment. I think we know that Microsoft is going to go heavy on Scorpio. Yeah. I think really the sort of debate or discussion at the moment is like, Microsoft is not in a brilliant spot at the moment. Like, Sony's running away with it, and Nintendo just came strong out of the gate with something that isn't directly competing with them, but it's video games and people only have a limited amount of money. So what on earth are you going to hit people with to get people excited about this again? Because the Scorpio will not be enough to do that. It's not like the PS4 Pro was, as a nicer system as it is. That did not cause Sony to run away in this particular fight.
What are the exclusives for Xbox anymore? What are the ones that are going to draw you?
I mean, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves. That we do know for certain they're not going to be showing Halo 6. They did say that.
It's kind of gotten to a point anyway with Halo where every year at E3 they unveil something about Halo.
That's totally fair.
Like this huge moment, and not that many people seem to care when they do.
The last Xbox exclusive I actually cared about was Scalebound, and since that's been cancelled, I've just failed to have any excitement for anything on the Xbox One.
Yeah, as much as I don't like exclusives, and it would be lovely if we didn't have them anymore, ultimately, a lot of people do care about that. And if you're going to get people to play on your system, you're going to need that. And the concern they're now having is that even their kind of deals that they were setting up with certain games, like you get this in a month, a month before everybody else kind of thing, even that's fallen through. Because if I recall correctly, they had it with FIFA, and now PlayStation's got it.
Maybe that's why I don't. Maybe most of the exclusives for Xbox are sports games, which is why I do not know exclusives for Xbox, because I just don't follow those. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's just the market for, because that's how they always sold it.
What sports exclusives do they have?
I mean, they got Forza, right? And apparently that latest Forza Hot Wheels thing is fucking awesome. So I've been told.
Yeah. And Phantom Dust. Phantom Dust is a sports game also.
Indeed, yes. Kind of sports in the same way that Beyblades is.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about Beyblades in God knows how long.
Beyblade's part of the Red Sea. It's what Moses used. That's confirmed. That's in the anime. That's canon now.
Oh, it is canon, and I wish I didn't know that.
Hold on. I'm going to need to hear that again.
Yep.
I'm going to need to hear that described again.
Sure. Yep.
More explicitly and vividly this time, if possible.
I mean, I feel I was relatively clear the first time, but I will repeat it because, understandably, it bounces off the sane mind. It's not something that it's willing to accept the first time around, so I'll give it another bash. So it is canon within Beyblades, it's anime, that Moses did indeed part the Red Sea using a Beyblade to do so. That is real. There is a clip of it on YouTube. That is 100% canon.
I don't know that you can say that's real. That is real? No, I don't. I don't know that's the word.
Fucking Moses. With his biblical clothes.
Let my Beyblades go.
Do you not remember that passage in the Bible? And the Lord said unto Moses, let it rip.
The Lord spaketh, let's play Beyblade.
It's lost in translation, though. It's Aramaic. You wouldn't understand. It's fine.
There's a Ubisoft writer watching this episode now, and in 2 Assassin's Creed from now, we're going to get Moses with his Apple of Eden.
Oh my God. Moses is the assassin? That'd be an amazing game.
We're onto something here. We're onto something here, because if Moses was running from like the Pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh, then we've got a whole crossover potential.
Exodia! Oh my God!
You could have him running from Farah.
Duel! Oh my God! Wasn't that the whole point of Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm pretty sure it was.
It pretty much was. See, I'm
And
imagining
if
the
it's
natural.
Pokemon on the Ark, then we are gonna make $1 million fucking dollars a day.
There is one way we can update this modern fairy tale to make it more, trendy and hip. We take out the Beyblades and we replace it with fidget spinners. Fidget spinners, they spun open the Red Sea. There you go.
Ruined it now. It's ruined
It's
it.
blue and everything to match.
Oh my. I don't know if there will be any Beyblade related announcements at E3. I have no inside information on that at this point.
Constant hope.
We do.
I mean, do we know?
I mean, I don't know what Beyblade is. I heard that and I thought it's some fucking Beyonce branded razor. I was like, what is a Beyblade?
It's like every time I hear people talk about rumors and they're talking about like what they're going to see at E3, and I hear this year they're finally going to talk about Bay, and I'm like, fuck yes! And they're like, Beyond Good and Evil 2, and I'm like, fuck off.
Oh, I just got an email. An email now from exclusive.
That's
sources.
canon in my head now.
I just got.
Sorry, Laura, you go on.
This is important. I just got an important email from secret sources I can't disclose. Beyblade, it's coming to Switch. Getting a Beyblade game, yeah, I can confirm it now.
With a
The
third-party
Beyonce themed Fanny Razor is coming to Switch.
You actually get to mount your Switch to the Beyblade and spin it.
Nice.
Have it smash against the wall and other switches.
Probably wouldn't be the first time these two have mounted.
What is happening right now? What are we doing?
I was just gonna imagine just flinging the Joy-Cons at the wall. You just fling them, and if you can get a good spin on them, then you win it. But I don't know how the rules of Beyblade work.
I don't know specifically. I imagine it's like Robot Wars to some extent.
I know that when I would tune into Cartoon Network specifically to watch, what was it at the time? I think Dragon Ball Z had just come to the UK via Cartoon Network, and they'd have commercials in between, and I just see these people throwing these spinning tops shouting "Let's Beyblade," and
is Beyblade a transitive verb now?
So is it like a kind of a Pokemon-y thing, Beyblade, or
kinda?
It's spinning tops that when you spun them, like ghost holograms came out the top and they did super moves, but basically it was just spinning tops that hit each other.
So it's basically Yu-Gi-Oh with spinning tops then.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about, I'm sure there might be some.
Oh, that's perfect for Nintendo with the amiibos.
Amiibos, yes.
Amiibo Beyblades.
Also, the Switch has a touchscreen. You do your Beyblades on the touchscreen and it can feel where the Beyblade's going.
It just grinds a path on the touchscreen.
Amiibos.
Oh, no.
Amiibo Blades.
Don't give him any ideas.
Amiibo Blades.
Play it by the flash of a blade.
Hey,
actually,
nice.
Amiiblades.
You missed Be Quick or Be Dead a while ago.
I know, I got it. I was just waiting for anyone else to grab it. You know, what can I say? You are truly a killer when it comes to these puns.
Not everyone is as well versed, you know. We could be here from here to eternity, and people might.
That
not
we
know
could,
all the puns.
yeah. All of these wasted years spent on these puns. Don't fight me. I will kill you.
What?
Okay.
I'm too
Thanks
good
for
at
coming on
this.
the podcast, guys.
Because I'm the assassin.
Okay, well, this was a nice time, everyone.
Time to go.
I normally look to the right of the computer screen if I want to see the death threat like scrolling up.
We've turned into Twitter.
I just like the fact that we're both throwing the Iron Maiden puns at each other while the three of them are innocent bystanders that may or may not get hit by it as it happens.
I did like one Iron Maiden pun earlier. I joined in.
You did.
I'm afraid I listened to the stylings of the Electric Light Orchestra, so I wouldn't know.
Look, they're not mutually exclusive, all right? Just saying.
Well,
you can enjoy both.
I'm very, very culturally isolated. So for me,
Maybe that's quite the revelation.
Oh, very nice. Yes.
I'm very glad that there's going to be a VOD of this, because otherwise these puns might get lost in time.
Hey, not too bad.
Stop doing things I don't get.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. I feel like a stranger in a strange land.
Yeah, this does not work for me. No, Jesse. I almost went with you on that, and then
Jesse, for that, we could be blood brothers. I'll tell you, in this brave new world.
But instead, this podcast we're floating on a sea of madness, you know?
Oh, yes, indeed.
It's like an infinite dream.
It's like a rhyme of the ancient mariner being spun out here.
Mr. fucking Blue Sky.
Did you see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 yet, Jim?
Not yet, but
Go
the
and see
hint
it.
you've dropped me is that I'm going to hear an ELO song.
There ain't no cloud inside.
What? Well, that's
I love that song.
ELO by way of Randy Newman, which is fitting because Randy Newman wrote a song about ELO. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Oh.
Story
They're
of a
pretty
rock and roll
fucking
band.
awesome band.
That's about ELO.
Hopefully
What's the
this
name of that
podcast.
one song, Jim? The one that we were talking about that was really, it's like 5-1 something, or they've got one fucking amazing song that sounds like Dear Prudence.
Oh, he's always trying to drop this. Gav's favorite song is Blue by Eiffel 65. And he's always trying to get it to, he always says like this song we talked about so that I can shoulder some of the burden of it. But he loves it and he tries to bring it up via me. And I think it's a little bit exploitative.
On the topic of cheesy pop, someone was disgusted that I was singing the praises of the new Carly Rae Jepsen song on Podquisition last week. I couldn't believe it.
She's a perfect angel, and anyone who says otherwise is a fool.
It's
Her-
got a
her
very
songs-
serviceable chorus.
Her songs are awesome.
I'm hoping this podcast gets back on track at some point, because otherwise I might have to run to the hills.
Run for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I'm
it
sorry
doesn't
that
have
these
continuation
invaders have taken
potential.
over.
No, it doesn't merit a revisit, which for me is now the third episode of this because they've done it twice here and the first on the Podquisition. I don't think it carries over.
Look, you don't get to bury your face in the sand, Jim, on this one. I'm afraid. The
Thank
evil
you for
that
inviting
men
us all on your wonderful show.
do. All I can say is Friday's gig's going to be fucking brilliant, and I can't wait for it. All right, let's get...
but just not to dampen your spirits too much, but when we saw them 2 weeks
Is
ago, they
Dampen
did,
Your Spirits a song?
they
Or
did,
not?
no,
I
it's
don't
not.
know, Gav.
But
they did
Rainmaker
8
is...
songs off the new album. So if you like the new album, you're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, I've seen the set list, and they're playing the only the songs that I like, rather than the 27-minute song about an airship, which I do not.
Oh God, yeah.
Fucking Empire of the Clouds. Oh no, please. Yeah, half of it's good, and that's the half they're playing. I'm fine with it. It's all nice. Let's talk about some video games, shall we? Let's talk about maybe some things that we've been playing.
What are they now?
I mean,
I don't know what they are
I mean,
anymore.
unless
Sorry,
you've got
this always
anything else to
happens. I always
say
find
about
that
E3, there's not really much. We'll know a
We know
lot.
a bunch of games that are coming,
Like what?
that are confirmed, at least for that you guys know this. I think
Yeah.
like
Far Cry.
Yeah,
Last
we
of
already
Us
talked
2,
about that.
100%.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
that's gonna be awesome.
Days Gone, that crazy game from last year. That's like the zombie thing.
The new
Oh.
God of War.
Zombies than anyone?
Yeah, Dad of War. Red Dead 2, Nino Kuni 2, Middle Earth Shadow of War.
Are we seeing Red Dead 2, Jesse?
Yeah,
That's it. Are we definitely going to see anything, especially with the pushback?
I
Did
wouldn't.
Rockstar ever do?
You might be right.
50-50.
You might be right.
It's a touch and go on that one.
The only time I remember seeing Rockstar at E3 is when they were shilling DLC.
Yeah.
Shark cards. Aye.
We'll
The new
we'll
one,
probably
Uncharted one. South Park again. Finally, we'll actually might get to see that game.
Yeah.
That's never coming out at this
Yeah,
rate.
well,
That should have been out years ago.
Detroit. Crossing my fingers. Go, David Cage.
Oh,
Oh.
We're
apparently,
definitely going to see. Oh, sorry. Laura.
apparently, Red Dead 2 has been confirmed to be at the Sony conference. Apparently,
awesome.
Nice.
2 hours ago.
Okay.
Nice.
And,
We'll definitely have Destiny.
More of.
Yeah,
Destiny
Destiny.
2, yeah. Look, the ones that we don't know that I need them to be there. For the love of God, just fucking give us Kingdom Hearts 3. That game is garbage, and I still want it anyway.
It's coming in the next 3 years, Jesse.
Our
Yeah, we've
grandkids
got
will
plenty of
really
E3
enjoy that
stuff
game.
between now and then.
I'll come in my pants if we see some Cyberpunk. But we
Cyberpunk.
probably-
That's what I was going to say
we
next.
probably won't.
God, that'd be amazing. Yes.
I know that Michelle Ancel has said, like, oh, it's probably not going to be at E3, but I want Beyond Good and Evil 2 to fucking show up.
Every
Oh,
didn't
no,
they
no,
quite
you're
year
going
we've
to
got
say
our hopes up.
Beyblade again.
Didn't they quite specifically say that it wasn't this year? I think maybe.
He said it wasn't, but Ubisoft have said things that are
He's a
outright
giant liar.
lies about Beyond
Yeah.
Good and Evil
They-
before, so
yeah,
I
they-
don't
Like that it exists.
Liars.
Yeah, no, they've had E3s where like one person will say it's in development actively, and another will say it was never confirmed, it doesn't exist. Like,
Sure.
I don't believe anything either confirming or denying its existence until it's on the stage.
Totally fair. I mean, the thing is about E3 that I'm more interested in the stuff that we don't know about, which obviously we can't really discuss.
The known unknowns.
Indeed.
Some new IPs would be nice.
Or the unknown unknowns.
Yeah.
For me, it's just what on earth have Microsoft got that's going to make me care about the box sat in my living room?
Yeah, I haven't turned mine on in 2 years. I don't know what
God
to do
help
with
me
it.
if they come at it again. Like you can hook up your cable to it, and then you can like
Oh, for
watch
God's sake.
your TV shows on it. Like,
Sports, TV.
They're probably still going to push the TV thing because they showed some pictures of the back of the Scorpio dev kit, and it still has the cable in port.
So Laura, does the Scorpio have Connect?
It does not,
I
right?
didn't look out for it. Was
Pretty
Connect just a
sure
USB port? Maybe.
Nah, I mean, there's a specific Connect port, unless they came out with some kind of adapter or something.
Okay, I didn't see a port that was labeled as a Connect port when I looked at the back at the Scorpio dev kit images, so I'm guessing that means no Connect for Scorpio.
Yeah. What's really happened with their whole we use the cloud to magic things approach that they talked a lot about in the Crackdown 3 trailer a few years ago?
Like everything, like it exists in some form, but it doesn't really matter.
No.
It's kind of about, but it wasn't a game changer.
No.
Just like their whole play while you download thing, which really means play for 10
Doesn't
minutes
work.
and then wait
What's
forever.
happening is they're merging it with Milo and Kate.
Oh my.
So Milo's going to be running around the city like smacking drug dealers in the face with a bazooka.
Nice.
We still allegedly have Cuphead coming, but that's been delayed God knows how many times. Like, are they
I don't care
going to
anymore.
trot that out on stage again?
Probably.
I think on their website, you know what they're going to do? They're going to do that indie thing they do every year. They show like quick clips of like some fancy new song and then like just all these indie games. And
Well, here's the thing. Devolver's got their own press conference this year. So really, most of those games were Devolver anyway. So I imagine they're kind of going to have their legs cut out from under them with that.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for Devolver having their own conference, I'd have been like, do we maybe see Cuphead as the it's available now during the conference?
Oh yeah,
that would be a win.
The good
for
old
Microsoft,
drop
but-
a digital game right now during a conference thing. I mean, hell, they did that yesterday with Apple, didn't they? Here's Monument Valley 2, just out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
So there'll be something about that.
that is a really good point. I know on the Cuphead website it says something like mid 2017. It hit me the other day. I was like, shit, it is mid 2017.
Yeah, they could drop
where
it.
are you, Cuphead? I want to play you so badly.
Ubisoft is going to announce Beyond Good and Cuphead.
An unexpected crossover.
Yep.
I actually I have
Takes
to look
place
up-
in the Half-Life universe.
Oh, of course.
I must ask and see if the guys who are making 7 are going to be showing anything at E3. The one I did the song for, because I'm
7.
pretty sure
I
they
never
would
even
be
heard of that.
high-pro.
What is it?
Oh really?
What
Yeah,
is it?
Gav's doing the music for a game called 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
It's
is
Kevin
it?
Spacey is reprising his role as John Doe. It's going to be
Yeah.
incredible.
It's they don't like people saying this, but they are like they're a team with a lot of credentials because a few of them come from CD Projekt, and the guy I collaborated with on the song is Marcin, who did the Witcher 3 soundtrack. So like the soundtrack's awesome anyway, and it's kind of a stealth RPG. Anyway, promoting my own shit. Collusion.
Yeah, as you should.
But I'm hoping to see something at A3 because I actually haven't seen too much of that game. I've only seen the bits I needed to see.
Yeah, I imagine we're going to see a lot of Battlefront 2, no doubt.
Oh yeah, that'll be all over. They're crawling all over the place.
Is
like
there
spiders.
another Battlefield this year? Probably not. They're
No.
not going to clash with
No.
Battlefield.
They'll probably casual in on
That-
the Star Wars.
There's probably going to be loads of hype about Call of Duty World War II, actually.
Yeah, I mean, which, the hype for that is odd. It's like, well, okay, we're going back to World War II. We haven't really done that in a bit,
Yeah.
but
It's
I don't
what every
really
Call of
care
Duty
about
fans
that.
wanted for the last 4 or
Sure,
5 years.
which is
so
fair, yeah.
just make it simple again. I'm sure it won't stop them dropping in shitty fucking microtransaction crap all over it. Like,
Yeah, because, when have they ever done that?
Mhm.
That's right, we're going to remaster every other Call of Duty game and then add new microtransactions and double the price of map packs. That
don't
sounds-
start Jim on that one.
Oh, he'll be going all day. It's lovely.
Jim was not a fan of how they treated Modern Warfare.
I mean,
The
can hardly
remaster.
blame anybody for that. It was pretty terrible way of doing it.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of.
So basically, they
sharing anything
remastered
we're
Call of
getting.
Duty 4, right?
Oh,
Modern
God, here we go.
Warfare. They held it hostage. They put it in with Infinite Warfare because even though they were still making money hand over fist, they weren't making quite as much money as last year. So they were like, well, they really want this one. Let's chain it to that one. And that annoyed a lot of people. By that point, I was just shrugging and just saying, you know, Activision gonna Activision. But then they decided that once everything was out, wait a little while, then deploy microtransactions, which included a loot system and depot points. I don't know what the fuck depot points are because I played this game like close to a decade ago, long before there were microtransactions, back when games had content in them, right? So I don't know what depot points are. I don't know why there's crafting in the game now. Like, I play games away from Steam to get away from 5,000 games with crafting in them. The crafting's in there now. Why not? And as if that wasn't enough, they announced the Variety Map Pack, which boggles the mind wasn't in there to begin with, as is the usual value prospect of a remaster. They charge $5 more for that than they did about 10 effing years ago.
For the same maps.
As you can see, he's a fan.
Oh, yeah.
I've completely lost track of where we were in conversation now. That's just...
It's okay, Laura. You're allowed to do that on this podcast.
It's all good.
Oh, I don't have to be on top of what's going on. Okay.
No, we never are. It would be unusual if anybody was, really.
You don't need to guide us on this one. You can take a chill pill and relax and just enjoy it. It's up to the other two now to steer us back on track when we go mad.
Oh, we're screwed then. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, is E3 again?
Am I the only one who loves E3 and gets genuinely?
I think you might be.
Wow.
I like the concept. I like the press conferences. I think the actual E3 like show floor is always a giant mess every year, and
oh yeah,
I can't wait for.
Once on the floor, I'll never do it again. No way.
But E3 on Twitter is the most fun couple of days of the year.
That's what I look forward to.
And this year,
I don't look forward to the announcements so much as I do just having a bit of a giggle on Twitter.
And this year, more than any year previous, we all need that couple of days of just everyone coming together and having a bit of fun and laughing at video games.
Putting aside any cynicism, I do... E3 is terrible, but I do kind of love it in that, if nothing else, it gets everyone who has even a passing interest in video games talking about this shared interest for maybe a week. And that is a week where, like, my favorite thing to do is to talk about games. And suddenly there's a bunch of people looking at games, looking at what's happening, having conversations. And I kind of love that.
And
like, the event itself is hell, but I like the conversations.
There's almost always at least 2 or 3 games to get really excited over as well, you know?
It's E3 is kind of like that video of Hugh Jackman seeing Mario Kart racers and losing his shit. Right? It's like such a pure moment of just like, can't we all just be a little excited about this shit every once in a while and just enjoy the fact that there's like dudes in the middle of the road dressed like Mario? Like that is a great video. And I want, like, E3 at its essence is that. Like, just doesn't matter if you're fucking like really into games. Everyone just sort of likes the idea that for a week, that's all what it's about. Just people seeing new shit being like, oh, did you see that though?
I was in the room when the Final Fantasy VII, like, the PS4 remake's happening, and like, I know in my head that game is never coming, or it's like, it's years off. That is a long way from being a product, and it's, you know, there's all those issues with it. Doesn't change the fact I saw that get announced and I shed a tear, and I just had my moment of video games. And just sometimes you just need to look at video games and go, oh, video games.
Yep.
I'm hoping Sony announces an expansion for Horizon. That would be one of my wishes in E3.
Every year I wait for them to bring back Mr. Caffeine, and they never do. It's too many. This is my problem. This is why I think E3's gone to pot, right? This is why I think it's gone to the dogs, to the shit, right? It's because too many publishers have learned their lesson. Like, Konami had a press conference, and somehow, unlike all the other times, in that one instance where it did something incompetent but was also entertaining, it learned its lesson, and we don't get those anymore. Ubisoft used to hire people who were clearly very, very drunk and very, very angry that they were there to host their shows. And they don't do that anymore because they learned their lesson. Then they went with a professional, Mr. Caffeine, and they learned their lesson there.
They do still have the awkward fake teammate chat, though. I'm hoping to see more of that.
Every
they have
year,
the old mic trick.
We got to get rid of that.
That's like Xbox's main thing is they have the 4 people on the side of the stage. And I don't know if they show that on the stream, but that shit happens when you're in the audience, and even everyone is just watching like, why the fuck is this going on? Because
Well, like Ubisoft's the one.
That's right, teammate. It's like, no, they're not even fucking playing. Stop.
Ubisoft started that. You know, they did it with Rainbow Six, and then did it with Ghost Recon, and a couple of other things. I
got a lot of shit for doing a video about that because to me it was the audio version of bullshots and
it was
unrepresentative visuals because
nobody talks this way.
It's artificially creating an atmosphere that they cannot guarantee you in the game.
And
they're all
scripted
actors.
Nobody wants that online anyway. No one wants that, degree in fucking Charlie Mikeism that those.
Yeah, no one wants to sound like a fucking tit. is the problem. They
do, but they didn't do so intentionally.
Yeah. Like if they really wanted to represent the experience, one of those people would have like a screaming baby in the background and insist on leaving it unmuted at all times.
Playing their terrible music or whatever.
So yeah, someone else would be doing that. Someone else would be like dropping South Park lines as if they're original, as if they were their jokes. That's the real experience, and that's what Ubisoft should bring us. And they won't because they're liars. They're inveterate liars.
Well, what we noticed that was something that was starting to germinate last year is it's not the fake VoIP, it's the hire a bunch of Let's Players and streamers that you've never heard of, put the sort of totes real face cam in the corner, then make a supercut kind of trailer of them mostly yelling and pretending to have a good time. That's what Sea of Thieves is doing. That was obnoxious as hell. I imagine we'll see a lot more of that.
Than anything else.
Oh, yeah. It's a bunch of...
these fucking T. Martin types in to scream at stuff. It's
just transparently, we are totally down with the kids, guys, things. Oh, it's bloody cringeworthy.
I did like it when last year they tried... I think it was last year when they just... almost practically looked at the camera and begged them to make someone in the audience a meme for them. They were desperate for something to go viral on Twitter.
Oh, that was Aisha with the guy dressed as Jacob Fry the year before.
Right.
As well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just some guy dressed as an Assassin's Creed character. Like not it was a bad costume, but it's not.
It was great.
It's not viral worthy. It's not like he came in dressed as a full-sized songbird from BioShock Infinite. Like that'd go viral if it was full size and it smashed the roof and it picked up Yves Guillemot and flew off and we never saw him again. No, we didn't see him for 5 years, and he came back. And his hair was black, and because he was so revitalized and happy with himself. And then he said that from now on, we won't be shit.
For my complaints about Nintendo at E3, at least last year with Zelda, they were very much like, here is playing the game.
Here is gameplay.
And just having a conversation about what we're doing and not trying to pretend that is part of the game. They were very transparent last year with Zelda. I like that. Can we get more of that, please?
Yeah,
that's been shown to work as well. Remember the hype when Todd Howard came on and just showed a bunch of gameplay from Fallout 4?
Yeah, well, I think they did the same thing with Dishonored 2. That worked relatively well there. That if they had done more of that with Doom, that would have probably helped them out a lot on launch. They just said, here's 30 minutes of this fucking amazing campaign. Let's go.
Doom took everyone by surprise, though, didn't it? Because I remember seeing Doom at E3 and all everyone was talking about was the shitty color coding they were after.
It's covered in piss. Yeah.
It did look like it was covered in piss. I mean,
did.
To be fair, it benefited a lot more when they showed those other screens that they claimed
it was Doom and
ways like this.
It was Doom and Revolution.
Piss. It did benefit from the more vibrant colors that were actually in the game. The piss filter was piss weak. Like it wasn't Doom colors.
Yeah, I do like it when E3 goes with just, here's a chunk of gameplay. Whenever you do a conference, there's mostly that. I like that. The PC Gamer Show has a tendency to go that way sometimes. When it's not 20 minutes of AMD shilling, it's...
I've never gotten through a whole one of those.
They're long. Yeah. They're almost 2 hours, I believe, most of the time.
And they're boring. I
like some of it. Boring, I think it's a very laid-back style. It depends on who's on stage with Day 9, usually. Like, sometimes there's just no chemistry and it's terrible. Sometimes he bounces off them nicely and it's a lot of fun to watch.
I was in the front row in the room for the first PC Gamer Show they did, and I was the most bored I've ever been watching a press conference. That first
Can you describe the chairs as well?
Oh god, yeah, I was tweeting about how bad the chairs were. I think we started an Indiegogo to buy cushions for the chairs like from the front row of the conference because we were that bored. But I think the biggest issue I had with it, my issue with it is that half of the announcements were of games we already knew existed, with lowball question interviews going on, where it's like, here's a game you already knew existed and a trailer you've probably already seen. Here's the developer. Here's a couple of really softball questions that we're not actually learning anything about the game. Okay, next game. And there were some new announcements and there were some interesting things, but they were spread out they were just spaced out by all of these games we already knew and lowball interviews that weren't interesting.
It's fair.
You're absolutely right. And I think that the biggest problem with the PC conference is what you're talking about. It's stuff we already know. Also, what TV was talking about, where it has that sort of laid back feel. So there's no urgency to any of it. It's sort of just like we're meandering through this. And also, I think it might be one of the most unpolished press conferences.
Oh God, yeah.
It just feels like
I like that though.
First time these two people have ever sat down to talk to each other, and so when there is it's blatantly obvious.
I wouldn't mind that if they leaned into it more. Like if they really owned the fact that it's kind of shoddy, I think they'd have a lot more traction with it. But I say that as someone who is incapable of producing anything.
I feel if things were a bit more genuine in general, I mean, if there's one thing that always makes everyone cringe watching E3, it's when they try to be funny.
Oh no!
For some reason, there's just they're just
well, it's flagrantly transparent.
To be fair, who does come out with some doozies. In general, though, they're just not very funny.
I think you're right that if they lent into the sort of just casual thrown together nature, it would be more interesting. Because I think I'd enjoy the PC Gamer Show if it was the same show, but like very clearly recorded in the back room of a pub or something, and it was just people.
Oh my god, yes,
that would already instant improvement.
The exact same content, but it's just like you slightly frame the fact that it's just we're coming for the first time, we've had a conversation, it's a bit thrown together. Okay, off you go, next person. That would feel somehow more human and less like accidentally poorly made marketing material. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would
just casual it up a lot more.
With Day 9's personality, if you threw it in
I shouldn't have said casual it up. For any PC fans watching, I'm sorry. I meant casual in the laid back sense.
You couldn't. You just couldn't stop yourself.
God,
look what you've done.
But also, Dark Souls should have an easy mode, and like it should literally be forced into it.
Yes,
and you should all be forced to play it.
Yeah. Everyone should have to play it
to the real game. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. You have to play through it twice in order to get to normal modes.
Are we going to see Bloodborne too?
First. Yeah.
Are we going to see Bloodborne too? I don't know. What did the fella have to say about that? I don't think there was any intention of going back to that, was there?
There is definitely a secret game that they haven't announced, so it very well could be that on their list of like, come see our booth and see our things. It literally has like game unannounced title, and it's like,
who has said that now? Bandai Namco or From or
Bandai Namco has it on their thing. There's also Capcom has a secret one as well that they aren't showing. So
2K's got one too.
For Namco, I have a guess what I think it's going to be. I reckon it's going to be Demon Souls Remaster.
Oh, that would be nice.
It's either Demon Souls Remaster. I think we either get Demon Souls Remaster or possibly Dark Souls 1. I think they're going to go back to one of the earlier ones and be like, here it is.
I'd be okay with Dark Souls, but I would. This
is a guess. This is off of nothing.
Little shitter in
right.
Oh.
Yeah, being able to play Demon Souls on anything but a PS3 controller would be great.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I think remastering Dark Souls 1 is relatively pointless, especially if you have a PC. You know, most of what I'd want in that is already available through mods anyway. For consoles, I guess it would help. But Demon Souls, a lot of people did not get to experience
Dark Souls
that.
Isn't that old a game, is it? It's still
not really.
young.
No.
Still looks great.
Yeah, it's still, it's just a beautiful art style, and colors carry it, don't they?
I feel like
wait, the chat is correct. I forgot. Demon Souls is Sony involved.
Yes.
Sony and Atlas were involved.
It's highly unlikely that it would go multi-platform as a result.
No. I would imagine
still
it would
really want it though.
If it's happening, I would imagine PS4 exclusive. But like, considering how popular Dark Souls 3 is, and the fact that Demon Souls is probably the hardest of the popular FromSoft games to play
That's
today.
the only one actually. I was about to say hardest. That's the only one.
No.
I
mean, in terms of like getting it to run on a piece of hardware that you have today.
Yeah,
it feels like it would do well if it was remastered now.
I agree.
But you know, that's
I imagine we're going to see a
plethora
of remasters. I would think this year. Which
I've never played Demon Souls, and I really want to. I just can't abide by that fucking PS3 controller.
Shenmue 3.
Did you not know you can make
3 is not going to be there.
Work on your PS3?
I know, but it sounds like an awful lot of hassle.
It's actually not. I got PS4 controller working on my PS TV. You know, the little Vita without a screen that you can get?
Yeah.
That supports PS4 controller natively. I think the PS3 does too, actually.
The PS3, I think you have to do something with a cable and...
Yeah, you just have to plug it in, a USB cable, and then it'll sync up and work.
Yeah, I think because they're practically the same thing.
Yeah, it works.
With, extra dongles and whatnot.
Yeah, so you can throw all your DualShock 3s out, and that's a great thing for everybody.
It's crazy how much better the PS4 controller is. I mean,
it is.
It's just it's night and day.
Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be seeing that remastered Crash Bandicoot. I know we're not seeing Shenmue 3. They did specifically say that that's not there.
Yeah, we're not seeing that for a fucking while.
Forever. Yeah, we'll see Crash. The whole idea is like, well, I don't know. We might make a new Crash game if the collection does well. It just seems so out of touch to me. It's like, you don't think it's gonna do well? You don't think people don't want a new Crash Bandicoot? How well did the new Ratchet do?
The original Crash has aged so poorly mechanically. It is not fun to play anymore. Like, I went back and replayed some of it recently. It's painful.
Does the current gaming generation even know what Crash Bandicoot is?
I'd say so.
They probably do from Uncharted 4, I imagine.
Yeah, they probably just think it's a mini game in that they're now expanding into its own thing.
That was such a great
with a shotgun.
That was such a cool little scene. I really loved that scene. Very clever.
But like going back and replaying that without the context of it being a mini game in Uncharted, like the most iconic level of that game has you running towards pits and obstacles that you can't see because you're running towards the camera. Like it is not a well-designed game. It fundamentally is a well-designed game.
No, yeah,
as a skippable mini game in Uncharted 4, it made me rage.
A lot of those platformers from that time were fraught with design problems.
Yeah, but Gav, I mean, watching Nathan and Elena play that game might have been my favorite thing in a video game ever.
It was awesome. Yeah, really awesome.
What an enjoyable, stupid moment in a game where I was like, oh, it's
beautifully meta.
Nailed it.
I will agree with you. It was beautiful there. I don't necessarily think I want to replay that trilogy if it's shiny and new.
I mean, I would, and I think this should be standard for a fair few remasters that they really could stand to alter the control, like they did with the Uncharted collection, where the first one had some elements from the third one and everything, and they'd kind of de-shitified it somewhat. I really do think a fair few older remasters would benefit from not just upgrading the visuals, but going in there.
Absolutely.
You got to watch out for that, though.
You know, that's a funny topic actually, because so many everyone just accepts that visuals date very quickly with video games, but we don't seem to pay that much attention to how mechanics date.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, the UX, in particular, just the user experience and user interface. That's a prime problem with a lot of DOS games. DOS has a phenomenal number of absolute classic games that would play lovely today if the UI design was not so archaic that you can't imagine it was created by human beings.
Yeah.
If you
there's
go
some
back to the
very
original
different stuff
XCOM or even XCOM Apocalypse. XCOM Apocalypse has some incredible ideas that we've never seen since that I would love to see come back to something. And the UI for that game is incomprehensibly stupid. And there are plenty of great strategy games, turn-based stuff, 4X. It was the golden age of 4X back then. Not just Master of Orion, so many cool things. It's like, who made this user interface? Is designed by aliens.
Funny though how so many older games had those terrible UIs and terrible mechanics and things. And it's kind of seen as part and parcel of just the game's growing pains and whatever. But when you look back to like an era where Super Mario World or A Link to the Past existed, both with incredible, simple, fully functional mechanics, it seems strange that so many other games at the time just were flat out fucking broken by today's standards. Anything
that tried to be complex and clever aged more rapidly than something that tried to be simple.
Star Fox.
Sure.
I still know what game I most want to see get a mechanic and UI overhaul, and it's the first Mass Effect, because that game is so difficult to go back to after playing 2 and 3. Like that game needs to get like here's the mechanic set of 2, the story of 1 reboot, like remake. But
I mean, for me, it was difficult to get into
a little bit.
before 2 and 3.
Yeah, you could do something like that, definitely.
But then they'd have to overhaul the entire planet exploration thing, because it was really boring in Mass Effect 1.
But I still
I sound so cynical today. There's 4 cynics in here. I'm becoming a cynical Well, no, it's 3 other cynics.
Jesse is not. Jesse,
I can see. I saw his face.
Jesse is
Come and swim in the water with us, Kevin.
We haven't pissed in it.
Deliciously
honestly.
murky down here.
We all float down here.
Oh, we don't float at all. We just sink to the bottom and complain.
Jesse, you mentioned that was like your favorite moment in a video game. What's everyone's favorite moment in a video game?
None of them. They're shit.
Video games are shit.
Stupid video games.
I've said it time and time and again. That moment in Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is by far my favorite.
We also talk about the last hour of Vagrant Story. What a fantastic game, y'all. What a fantastic game no one played.
I'll do the appropriate snidey critic answer, which is I liked it when the end credits for Aliens Colonial Marines happened.
Well, you played
I think my favorite might be the one time that the game To the Moon uses a piece of music that has lyrics. That may be my favorite moment in a game.
Mine is the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2.
That is a pretty fucking good mission.
That's like a universal answer. Like, what a great moment in video gaming. Like, that's phenomenal.
I know it's a cliche, but it just blew my fucking
you're right.
mind.
It should have ended the fucking series there.
Hopping around
honestly.
on my fucking chair after that mission.
Oh,
so good.
The end of Journey, when you find out there were other players.
Yes.
Because I managed to go into that blind and not know that I was
didn't
playing
know
with
either.
other people online.
Lovely.
I managed to come out of that blind, and that was a pretty special moment.
That whole experience.
Sliding down the sandy slide and that with another player as well is one of those just phenomenal,
I locked myself in my room to play that just uninterrupted for a couple of hours. I'm glad I did. Same with Brothers. It's, really, really good.
I liked the bit in Clock Tower 3 where the corroder, which is a gas mask wearing, acid spraying man in war times, who's always going like it's just doing that, right? There's this old woman who is being looked after by her son, and he's like, oh, I've got to put this shawl on you because you're cold. And she's like, oh, you look up. Set in London. She's like, oh, you're so good to me, my boy. Then the door's just kicked open, right? And the corroder comes in, just he's spraying acid everywhere. Grabs the woman. She's old, like Ethel from EastEnders. Grabs her by the throat, just runs her along the shelf, knocking pots and pans everywhere. Throws her in a barrel, just starts dumping acid in there just by a jug load, gets the boy, does that and all, boof in there, boof, 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 turns to the protagonist, do you want a bath? I hear the acid's lovely. And then you've got to run away from him.
Can you not have a nice bath?
Emotionally engaging, that.
I like the bit in Beyblade on the Game Boy Advance where you unlock Kai's bit chip.
We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the games that we've been playing this week, as we've now thoroughly ruined E3 for you. Perfect, really. Video games are... They're just...
It's a better way to cook.
Indeed. Brought to you by Squarespace. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere! Press this button and it didn't bloody work. What's the point in this thing? You can hear it. I'm pressing it. It's not doing anything. I'll
just
do it.
Smile.
I'm telling you, when we're around, things just break.
Do it manually. I'm going to press this button right here, and it's going to be lovely. Here we go. With the biggest gaming expo of the year now upon us, the sheer amount of yelling about video games will reach never-before-seen heights. Hype trains will leave the station. Announcements of announcements of announcements will rain from the sky, and a fresh wave of naive, innocent attendees will get their first taste of soul-crushing, passion-slaying disappointment. But with multi-million-dollar on-stage extravaganzas from those giant corporations dominating the headlines, how can you possibly stand out from the crowd and get your message into the loving, sticky arms of millions of potential customers worldwide? You could try a dancing man in a giant lion costume. Unfortunately, he was kidnapped, sacrificed, and then turned into a plush carpet by a crazed cult in Montana. Perhaps you could hire a minor celebrity to endorse your product, eyes glazed as they read from a prepared statement, wondering where exactly their childhood dreams went, locked in a box of despair, forever. But that's a little too depressing and impractically expensive. Thankfully, we have the perfect and affordable solution. Of course we do. The solution to everything is a beautiful-looking, unforgettable website on Squarespace. Do you have a product or service you want to show the world? Use Squarespace's professionally designed templates to put all the focus onto your creation. Perhaps you'd like to sell a product while everyone else is hyping things that are at least a year away. Do so in confidence with Squarespace's easy-to-use and secure e-commerce. But everyone's at the expo, you say. They won't be able to see my site without access to a computer. Well, you're half right. Wi-Fi at these things is practically a black market commodity and a strong source of finance for several rogue nations. But on the off chance they can use the internet, Squarespace delivers on practically any device with modern templates that employ the latest up-to-date compatibility techniques. This all sounds far too good to be true and or outrageously expensive. Thankfully, it's neither. Head on over to squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. Make sure people remember your name by grabbing a Squarespace domain while you're at it with lightning-fast setup and no hidden fees. How can my website possibly compete with these huge events and gigantic conferences, you might ask? I ask you this. Can you remember a single thing that happened at the last big gaming expo? Did anything at all stand out amongst the maelstrom of eye-gougingly colourful, cringe-worthily announced and inevitably disappointing things? Did I, in fact, have to go back and watch last year's press conferences to even remember what happened for the purposes of this ad? After the dust has settled and the fantasies and aspirations of so many left shattered on the expo floor, make sure people remember what the hell it is you're actually doing with a website on Squarespace. Squarespace, for when you want to be remembered for something other than agonizing embarrassment. Check out squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial, courtesy of the Cooptional Podcast. For your blog, portfolio, website, or online store, make your next move with Squarespace. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cooptional Podcast. Or something along those lines.
I can't remember the one I came up
with. The Co-op Podquisitional Podcast.
Podquisitional. There we are. Co-op Podquisitional. It's like riding a bike.
Something like that. Yeah.
I never lost it. Way.
Hey, it's a talent, something you're born with. Well, that was what we think E3 is going to be. I'm sure we'll know by next week what it actually was, but let's talk about some games that we have been playing this week. Who wants to start us off? Throw your hat into the ring. Who's got something?
I've got a thing. Why not? I'll jump in. I won't be afraid. I'll jump right into the pit of lions, or whatever metaphor I should be using. Main thing I've been playing this last week is Tekken 7 has been like the big thing I've been sinking time into. Tekken is one of those series. It's been around forever, and it's not bad. Tekken 7 is not a bad game. I feel weird when I describe it this way, but it's basically just more Tekken. Okay. And I don't know how much longer it can get away with just being more Tekken. It's really not doing anything to update itself entry to entry. Mechanically, Tekken 7 is pretty much unchanged. There's a new mechanic they added where if your health is low, you get one chance to do a super attack.
All right.
That's about it for mechanical changes, but all the stuff surrounding the actual core mechanics are just very, very lackluster. The online multiplayer is like a very predictable set of basic online fighting modes.
Okay.
The story mode is weirdly... It's trying to... It keeps teasing that it's going to answer a load of long-time questions for fans of the Tekken series, and then never really gives any answers to them. The story isn't decipherable for anyone who doesn't already know the Tekken plotline. It's just kind of nothing, really. It's a strong fighting game system surrounded by really lackluster mechanics and modes, and nothing really exciting around it.
Laura,
I don't know how long Tekken can get away with that.
Question for you.
Yeah.
As someone who's not really knowledgeable at all about fighting games, how often do they add new mechanics? And is that, as I would imagine it would be, a very easy way to completely ruin a good game?
It can be an easy way to ruin a good game if done wrong. If you look at something like, say, Street Fighter, for example, while it's not necessarily sweeping changes to the systems, they usually will tweak things considerably enough that if you played a character for a long time in, say, Street Fighter 4 and then moved to Street Fighter 5, they will still play the same core way. They will be the same type of character usually, but you will have to relearn how to play them because there will be enough tweaks to the way things go. There'll be enough balances and tweaks to the ebb and flow of combat that you will still have to do some relearning of a character.
To sort of interject on that one, I think Street Fighter might be a poor example because I think 4 to 5 was maybe a fairly massive change. A lot of other fighting games are very marginal. If you look at Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, things like that, when they do move from iteration to iteration, the changes are not that big. 4 to 5 had some pretty... in the context of fighting games, big changes to how it worked. And it fundamentally changed the way that the game played. It was a very defensive game in Street Fighter 4, much more aggressive as a result of the way that V-Trigger works and things like that versus the way that Ultras worked in 4. I don't know much about Tekken. I basically know nothing about Tekken. I might be the least familiar with Tekken of any fighting game.
Yeah, I will acknowledge Street Fighter was not the greatest example to give there, but usually things are changed sort of incrementally. Tekken's really not done anything, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you like the Tekken fighting game system and just want to play more Tekken on your new system, this is more Tekken. But it's just it's a really bare bones package. And I think what made me really disappointed with Tekken was the fact that I played it very quickly after Injustice 2.
Which was quite a complete package, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that $5 character.
Yeah. In Injustice 2, by comparison, like, the story mode was very, very polished in its presentation. It told its own isolated story. It in a very smooth way, went between cutscenes into combat, back to cutscenes. It had a lot of interesting things going on with combat systems, modes, etc. It felt like a really interesting package that was putting a lot of effort into not just being like the bare bones release of a fighting game. And then 2 weeks later playing Tekken, and it's kind of just more Tekken. Felt really disappointing. It's not bad, but...
I played a recent Mortal Kombat. I don't know, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of the more recent ones, and with a couple of mates, and it felt exactly like playing
Jesse,
Mortal Kombat
muted,
1
by the way.
back in the arcades. Like, the mechanics felt exactly the same. I wouldn't have been able to tell you what was different, you know?
Jesse, are you there? Sorry, you were trying to talk, I think, and you were muted?
No, he was...
No.
Okay.
I was answering a question, and I muted myself so that you wouldn't hear it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's all.
He's
I left you a little message.
moonlighting on the podcast. Is what he's doing.
Clearly, you didn't leave enough of a message. We didn't... who knew?
Yeah, I'm no joker. I didn't send a message. I'm so... Yeah. Shit. Damn.
No, Tekken 7 is just more Tekken, and that's... Again, you can get away with if it ain't broke, don't fix it for a while, but I don't know if Tekken 8 is similarly bare bones and not much changed. that might be the point where that's a bit too much for me. This may be the last time they can get away with just like not changing much with it.
Okay. Yeah, I am so unfamiliar with Tekken, but I will say that right now it's really the only 3D fighting game that's being actively developed and iterated on as a series. I mean, we don't know what's happening with Soul Calibur. We certainly haven't seen anything out of Virtua Fighter for like 10 bloody years.
God, when was the last Soul Calibur?
It was 5. No, it was that. Didn't they do a
Soul
free-to-play
Calibur
thing?
the one with all the big boobs?
I mean, that's a lot of fighting games.
That's DOA, first off. But Soul Calibur does have the boobies, so...
Soul Calibur is the one that, like, a couple of generations ago, they had, like, Link in the GameCube version, and they had, like, Yoda and
then they had Star
Darth
Wars.
Vader.
Does Yoda have big boobs?
I mean,
the biggest.
He might have, yeah.
Just...
The generation that had Link in it, they had Link on the GameCube. They had
Spawn on the Xbox, I believe.
Spawn on the Xbox One, and it was someone from another fighting game. I think it was
Hayachi. It was
Hayachi?
Tekken. From Tekken.
Yeah, Hayachi, yeah. And a lot
Soul
of people...
Calibur 3 had Cosmos, if I remember, from fucking X, whatever that damn game is. You know, the space, the shitty... Fuck, what is that goddamn game? No, Chronic...
XCOM. That would have been
Chronic
a hell of a
XCOM.
fighting game. Starring XCOM guest characters. Guy with guile hair.
Xenosaga is what it was.
Xenosaga. They had a guest character from Xenosaga of all things.
Yeah. Soul Calibur 4 had Darth Vader and Yoda, if I remember correctly.
And Star Killer was in both of them. That was the... Man, because they had Xbox got Yoda, and then PS3 got Darth Vader, which is a horrible decision to make.
And he knew that they were just going to sell them later, so...
It took about 2 years for them to put them like in each other's games, though. I think at that point in which nobody cared.
Yeah.
Also, Yoda was horribly overpowered because you couldn't hit him.
They waited a bit too long to pull the trigger on that
just
one,
a little bit. I will say, you know, of course, Pokken, if you count Pokken as a 3D fighting game, which I guess it is, the Pokken DX is coming to Switch.
It depends how you're poking.
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, Pokken is a really competent fighting game. Like it is a surprisingly good. Gav. No, it's a surprisingly mechanically competent fighting game. Like it's built off the back of the Tekken stuff, but it does have an identity of its own. I really like the whole switching between zoning and then when you get close, having your sort of
close combat thing,
stuff going on close up. Yeah, it is a really nice fighting game. I wish we were getting Pokken 2 rather than Pokken DX.
The only fighting game I know anything about is Primal Rage.
A great game. A fantastic, phenomenal game.
I liked it. Vertigo was my main. I could do the hypnosis. I could do the poison. I could do the dagger.
What's the monkey that like farted on people? That was my favorite.
Chaos. Chaos was the monkey
that was a character.
He pissed and he farted.
Yep.
There was a dinosaur that I guess was also the devil called Diablo. He could do the whole scorpion thing and poof, over there, over there.
So I took a deep dive into Soul Calibur bonus characters, and besides Assassin's Creed characters showing up and like crazy, my favorite is this little nugget. Bayonetta from Sega's Bayonetta series was considered, but she was scrapped because her attacks were too elaborate to include.
Yes.
There you go.
Soul Calibur not known for its silly attacks or anything. I mean, that's
they just couldn't be bothered to animate anymore at that point. They're like, someone with like a sword, some dude who punches. You agreed to spawn? What? You got to do the cape, you idiot.
Well, it was probably actually that Bayonetta wasn't scantily clad enough.
That's true. Yeah, she had far too many clothes for Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit with the lore. I keep saying, you know, it's weird that I mentioned 3D fighting games, so I've completely glossed over ARMS and For Honor, which are technically 3D fighting games,
I was
right?
about to say ARMS. I completely forgot I'd played another 3D fighting game this week.
ARMS,
because I've been playing the test bunch. How
was that then? I heard mixed opinions from some people.
People apparently have review copies of that now.
Really?
Yeah. It's going around. I'm trying to get a hold of code at the moment, but
everyone in this office who has that game fucking loves it. Mind you, they're all giant Nintendo fanboys, but still.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't trust your office in the slightest when it comes to Nintendo.
Yeah.
My feelings on ARMS are really mixed in that it's clearly designed first and foremost with motion controls in mind, and it's I really like what they're doing in terms of the core gameplay loop. The problem is that the motion controls are not accurate enough in my experience for competitive play.
Absolutely, yeah.
The button controls are very fiddly to pull off to do the things that you can do easily with motion.
Oh, bloody hell.
This is the problem I have with ARMS, and I've only played the test punch. I've not got review code yet, and I've not had like a real good chance to put time in, but things like the difference between punching straight forward with your right arm versus throwing it out at a set amount outwards and doing a hook shot. It's much easier to punch forward with your hand or punch sideways with your hand than to try and use an analog stick to tell it whether to go forward or sideways while doing a punch. And I might get used to it with time. I want to be playing it with buttons, but it's so much easier to play in motion, and the motion just isn't accurate enough for competitive play, and I don't know if I can get over that hurdle.
Why are they still trying to demonstrate the tech? We don't need tech demos on motion control anymore. The tech has been so thoroughly demonstrated to me exhaustively.
If you're not trying to play ARMS competitively, if you just want to play it as a silly, fun fighting game with friends, motion is the way to go. And the motion controls are fairly intuitive and pretty fun. But if you're gonna get annoyed that you failed to pull off a move and that you lost because of it, and you want to get to that level of like competitiveness, I don't know whether this game is gonna manage that.
Doesn't it also completely bust the concept of the Switch being a portable machine if you have to take off the bloody Joy-Cons and lean it on something to play it portably?
But yeah, they seem, for some reason, they leaned so far away from all the portable stuff after the initial reveal.
Which is weird, because that's what the best part of the bloody thing
and
is.
They just started talking more and more about their motion control stuff.
Don't you remember when they announced it? It is definitely their home console. It's not a portable, it's their home console that just happens to be portable.
And it's so much better as a portable. It really is.
It's an impressive portable. It's a kind of lackluster console, the fact that they're leaning so heavily into motion control home console is not playing to its strengths.
Yeah, and it's just so passé now. Like we've had so many years of, we've had over a decade now of motion control. It's done.
And it mostly doesn't work.
Like, use it if you can elegantly incorporate it into your game, by all means, but don't just don't make a motion control game first and a good game second. Like, make a game first and then think, like, will some motion controls make this better or not?
Do we have any data on the Japanese market? Because I think we all understand that Nintendo only makes stuff to like really cater to that audience. Like most Japanese companies. Is motion control like a big fucking deal there? Like, is that something they love in Japan?
I honestly think it's less that Japan loves motion controls and more that they're hoping the Wii will happen again. Ugh. They want people to play motion controls, and if we ship this thing with motion controllers and it happens to get big, then maybe we can get the Wii audience back because the motion controls are bundled in, they're ready.
Well, it's bloody weird because, like, look, the space and mobile, those are two really important things in Japan. You can't do motion controls on a subway. If Persona 5 has told me anything, there's always a guy with a Vita, and you never got the space to get motion control out on a subway.
You think back to the old commercial they had, the original announcement, and that guy bringing it on the plane, and think of that poor bastard. Every time he's trying to like pull a bow in Skyrim and he's got to do this with the controls, and he's hitting the person coming through with the drinks and everything, smashing his elbow on the metal. That's not comfortable, friend.
Now, the weird thing about talking about, motion control is that, of course, in VR, it's making a pretty big comeback, and the stuff that's available for the Vive and the Oculus is the best motion control we've ever had. Like, it's excellent. It's incredibly accurate. We did try and play Star Trek Bridge Crew. We were Ubisofted. We got played hard on the first day. They said, it's cross-compatible. You can play it with PSVR, Oculus, or Vive. It'll be great. So, of course, what do we try and do? Myself, Jesse, Mathis, Nerd Cubed, we try and sit down with one PSVR, 2 Vives, and an Oculus. How many can we get to connect? Fucking nobody. Just doesn't work. But it's like, oh, we wanted to play that. But when I played the single player, even the sit-down motion experience was like, wow, this is great. I'm reaching out here. You've probably seen the Twitch clip of the guy motioning with his hands and kind of emoting. When I think they discovered that one of the bridge crew in their pub game was a girl, and the other guy was going like, what did that with his hands? And it was just fucking hilarious. But the motion control in these VR environments is phenomenally good.
Yeah.
And the games are being designed specifically with that in mind. There are a lot of tech demos, certainly, especially with the Vive, but they're getting there. But then again, we see a portable system trying to do it, and it's like, what? You already need a room for VR.
Nicholas IVT in the chat said, where they said the motion control for aiming in Splatoon and Zelda were pretty good. And I agree, but that's because that was an enhancement to the game. That was a convenient way of using a game that you were otherwise using traditional controls for, because those traditional controls work better. It turns out that for Splatoon, where you're just squirting paint a lot, having motion to do that is going to be so much more useful.
It's not the only one.
Using motion control smartly.
Yeah, it's quite a few FPS on Wii and a bit on Wii U as well. If you remember Red Steel 2, obviously don't remember Red Steel, because Red Steel
that one was
2,
correct. Red Steel 2, very, very good.
Yeah, with the Motion Plus, a couple of other FPS on there as well. Even go back to the PS3, play a few FPS with the PlayStation Move. Yeah, it's better. It's just better. Pointing that thing.
There were some that were really quite good with
way
that.
Better than just the DualShock 3. Far more accurate, far more comfortable, more like a mouse.
Yeah, pointer functions are still the thing that VR, like the accelerometer VR is best at.
Yes.
Is being pointers and shooters.
Metroid Prime. Prime example.
Metroid Prime was fantastic. Yeah. I loved the trilogy re-release. It was great. But that's where I fall on ARMS after. I think I've put like an hour and a half into ARMS so far, and it's just, I want to be playing with buttons, but it's a bit fiddly.
Yeah.
I want to be playing with motion controls, but it's not registering accurately enough.
Right. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Have you tried the Pro Controller? Have you done that stuff?
I've done a bit with the Pro Controller, but it's still the same issue of the doing it with buttons and sticks is still just a bit fiddly.
Yeah.
Also, isn't the whole premise like everything they showed, like you're the boxer? Do you remember there used to be an arcade game where you put your hands in boxing gloves?
Yeah.
And you would like actually have to punch and move and stuff. Like it was kind of shit, but it was super fun at the same time.
It's also
like you would just spam as fast as you could, but it still felt really fun, and I kind of want ARMS to be that experience.
I mean, if you go back to Wii and play the new version of Punch-Out, that's basically what that is. Only you hold Wiimotes. You could even get a boxing glove attachment that you mounted the Wiimotes into, or you look like a tit, but you could do it.
Isn't that why everyone and their granny played
Wii Sports
on the Wii?
Yeah, because
it was so simple.
Yeah, totally.
That's it. It's something you could look, and this is of course why the Wii U failed, was because it needed so much explanation. You look at the commercials for the Wii, visually they just show people playing tennis, and you instantly look at it and think, I know exactly what they're doing.
I can do that.
Completely intuitive.
You look at the Wii U reveal video, and there is so much text having to explain what all this bullshit business is. And that was the great failing of that. And
even the title they had to explain, Wii U. People were like, is it University for Wii
Is
users?
it an expansion for the Wii? It's like, it's like, hey, we're going to make something that could appeal to fairly hardcore gamers that understand the idea of, asymmetrical gameplay and 4v1 and separate screen experience. And that's cool, but we're then going to make no games that actually appeal to those people. It's like, oh, well. Yeah, that's that. What else have we been playing this week? What do we got on the docket?
I finished RlME, which I loved.
Yes.
Jim, I know you didn't love it as much as me, I don't think. But
I thought it was a good game. I didn't think it was one of the true greats in its class, in its rating.
Not Journey level good.
It was a nice middle ground for me between Journey and it was like a middle ground between Journey and the Team Ico games. It was a very, very nice mix of those and a beautiful looking game. Worth playing for the soundtrack alone, by the way.
I mean, it's definitely worth playing.
The guy who did the soundtrack, I looked him up. He's I don't know if he's ever done a game soundtrack before. I couldn't believe it when I heard that, because the soundtrack is so fucking beautiful.
Nice.
I would describe it in musical terms, but that would bore everyone. It just, put it this way, it tugs at your heartstrings. Well, it tugged at mine, but then again, my heartstrings are pretty easy to tug. So
I like the music. I thought it had a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
It had some really wonderful moments, and the thing I keep praising about RlME is its level design. Even though there is some openness to it, there is a very clear linear path and a very clear linear way of doing things. But they turn linearity into an art form in and of itself. Like,
it's never quite explicitly told to you, go here. It's just
they
hinted
use
at.
they use architecture and just natural pathways to guide you, and it just it feels right to be going at that pace. Like when something interesting is happening, you want to go with the flow. I ended up halfway through ignoring a lot of collectibles because I didn't want to stop and root around for stuff. Because I just wanted this to be a seamless experience, and I think it's one of the best examples of how linearity can make a game better, depending on the type of game you're trying to tell. You know, everything wants to be open world sandbox now, and those games can be utterly fantastic, but there are certain types of stories you cannot do that way. Certain types of experiences that can't really be recreated in an open world, do it at your own pace environment.
And it's funny because the first 20 minutes or so of RlME would almost have you believe it's going to be one of those open world sandboxes.
Yeah.
And then it actually turns out it's quite a linear experience, a very guided, direct experience. But oh my goodness, that ending. Obviously not going to spoil it, but wow, it I just sat there staring at the screen and shed a little tear at the end. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we were talking about it a bit beforehand, and if it a little bit about how it was staggered and the build towards it kind of deflated it for me personally. And that kind of put the kibosh on me, really saying, oh, that's brilliant. So I didn't quite end it with the feelings a lot of other people have, although I don't blame them.
Isn't it funny though how
anyone's at fault? I mean, it's not, you know, I understand anyone really loving that ending. It just didn't quite hit for me because of the delivery method.
It's funny how different people interpret the pacing. It's something I've never really thought about, because for me, it's like you said, for you, the pacing at that point was starting to drag on a little bit, if I'm interpreting you correctly.
For me, I felt it's a short game.
For me, I was surprised. I thought there was going to be like another half hour or another hour or so to go, and it just ended. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I would definitely say try RlME if you enjoyed Journey and the Team Ico games.
I'll give it a wee try now that supposedly the issues that the PC version have are now resolved. There was a controversy surrounding its implementation of de novo, and I say implementation specifically because according to certain reports, this thing was doing calls to de novo something ridiculous like 300 times a second that was tanking performance, which is like,
why would you do that?
I was having weird performance issues, and I had like a pretty beefy gaming rig, and I shouldn't have issues with a game like that.
Yeah, supposedly it was just the way that the devs implemented de novo. Supposedly de novo does some degree of consultation with the dev, but they're not directly responsible for implementing the system. They implemented it in the worst possible way. So it did tank performance.
To confirm for the chat, by the way, Lindsay Sterling was involved with the soundtrack.
Yes, she did. Yeah, she did something.
She did one
great
song. Yeah, and it's beautiful. But the actual instrumental soundtrack is just stunningly gorgeous.
Oh yeah, also
got these, like,
very good.
sweeping strings for your like emotional, just your basic emotional what's the word I'm looking for? Your basic emotional setup with the strings, but then
I don't understand
these,
emotions,
like,
Gav.
pianos
Explain
and
to them
flutes
to me.
doing little arpeggios over it to add that little bit of excitement to carry you forward as well. It was just so beautifully done. And very minor key, but not depressing, which is it's very rare in games, I find.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I'll try it out now that it doesn't run like crap. They took de novo off as soon as it got cracked, which
regarding the performance, turning the AA down to the lower setting gave me about 15 frames, which shouldn't happen, but it's a thing. It happened.
Fair enough.
Cool. There's no rhyme or reason for it.
Hey, not a rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I've done that already. That's
well, that's funny because it is a game called RlME and it is about an ancient mariner.
There you go.
Whoa.
The albatross fell into the sea. Oh, wonderful song. 14 glorious minutes of Bruce Dickinson just wanking on stage. It's lovely. How could you not? We played Dark Souls, the board game. And I'd love to...
I've had that in my house for ages and I've not...
So we played it. We played it twice, in fact. We went down to MomoCon quite recently, which was great. It was a really fun time. Myself, Jesse, Dodger out there. We did some stage shows. It was a lot of fun. Great convention. I'd happily go again. Very friendly people. Very cool audiences. But, of course, down there they do have a tabletop section. I did bring my copy of Dark Souls thinking, you know what? It might get played. I also brought, which is an interesting comparison, Bloodborne, the card game.
Which I also have and have not.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It is two very different things. Let me put it that way. You've got one board game, which is incredibly heavy, massive, expensive, cool board game with awesome miniatures. Hey, look at his Ammon, look at his belly. Isn't it wonderful?
Oh my God.
Just full of miniatures, trying its best to emulate the experience of the video game down even to just little details. The way that the boss behavior works. There's an AI deck. The way that you can learn its attack pattern. All that kind of thing. The way that you drop your souls in the place that you died. All that kind of stuff. And then you have Bloodborne, the card game, which makes absolutely no effort whatsoever to be like the video game. And yet in doing that, probably produces a more compelling experience. Certainly one that's a lot less
Top
clunky.
Trump's Yarnum edition? Or...
No, not even close. It's a 30-minute co-op dungeon crawling with a little bit of competitive fuck you element. It's actually really cool. We played a good few rounds of it. The simple principle of Bloodborne, the card game, is you go through just a little deck of Bloodborne monsters, 3 mini-bosses, then a main boss. The main boss has effects on the whole game, so maybe one will buff up all the monsters, maybe one will make it so if somebody dies twice, the whole game is over. It's weird experiencing Bloodborne as kind of a co-op dungeon crawler, because that's not really what Bloodborne is. But there's this little competitive element.
Then again, I mean, it may harken back to the actual, I forget now, it's been a good grip since I last played it, but the dungeons that could be played online. The chalices, yes.
Yeah, it's cool. Everything's called a chalice dungeon run in that game. Right. You can play with up to 5 people, and you get a set of basic cards in your hand, just 5, which consists of like 2 weapons, actually 3 weapons, like the Hunter's Pistol, the like Bone Cleaver or whatever, and then 2 other cards, which is either Go to the Hunter's Dream, which is essentially like folding in poker. Right. And every time you go to the Hunter's Dream, you get all your health back. You bank your existing blood echoes, and you lose them if you die. And you get a new weapon card to add to your deck, which all the stuff in the Hunter's Dream is better than your default.
This is sounding a lot more because I opened up and read a few basic bits about the Dark Souls board game, and I just bought the Bloodborne card game on a whim back at Tabletop Day. And it's just sat there, and I had no idea how it played. But you're making that one sound like something I got to jump on.
It's super easy to teach. I taught it to my 13-year-old who had no knowledge of Bloodborne, and also Mathis's girlfriend who barely ever played tabletop before, and they got in really easily. As opposed to fucking Dark Souls, the board game.
Oh my God!
Which not only is that.
I was going to ask about the Dark Souls board game because I played
a bigger manual in Oblivion.
So many board games are like that now, though.
It's a badly organized manual. That's the main problem. There are concepts that are all over the place. It's not logically taught. A lot of advances have been made.
You need to get good, TV.
A lot of advances have been made in how board games teach their players. Fantasy Flight, who is a very big board game producer, they have the Star Wars license, XCOM, all sorts of other cool things.
Their Battlestar Galactica game is one
of the best board games ever made. It's lovely. They've moved to a 2-manual model, where one is a learn to play manual, which is basically this is how to play your first game, straight up walkthrough, everything's logically laid out, and this is a reference book for everything else. Right. You refer to it when you need it. It works.
That makes sense, yeah.
I taught Star Wars Rebellion to myself and my wife that way, which is quite a complicated game, and the 2-manual approach worked well. Dark Souls manual is a clusterfuck. It's all over the place. It's a pain in the ass to teach, but it is deliciously complex and clunky, kind of like Dark Souls is clunky. Even to the way boss movement works.
I would love Dark Souls Pictionary.
I played some of the Dark Souls board game. I think it was back at CoxCon last year, and the biggest issue, besides the sort of like complexity of like trying to learn those mechanics jumping in for the first time, was that it felt like it inherently lost something from the Dark Souls mechanics in that there wasn't that sense of urgency when you're fighting a boss, where, you know, when you're fighting a boss in Dark Souls, like, you've got to very quickly respond to what's going on, and something was just sort of lost in the translation to tabletop, at least when I played it. Maybe I was playing it wrong, but is there anything different now that it's out, or does it still just sort of feel a bit more slow and measured than not boring?
It's a lengthy
slow
game.
And measured than Dark Souls.
I have to say, I would never play, not just personal taste, I could never play a Dark Souls board game.
I mean, that's one of the issues with it, is that the game is actually grindy, like the regular game is. If you run through it, you kill stuff, you get souls, you get some loot. If you go back to the bonfire, you can then spend your souls on level ups and equipment drops from the treasure deck. If you go back to the bonfire and use a spark, everything resets. So all the mobs respawn, just like in Dark Souls. And you have to do that, I think, really at least once. Because if you don't, and you run all the way through to the boss and hit the fog gate, the chances are you're not going to have the gear you need to beat it.
Well, this
Right,
is, I
you
guess,
gotta go through and recollect things.
Yeah,
this
you've
is,
got
I
to
guess,
grind.
like, the one thing that doesn't feel consistent to Dark Souls is in Dark Souls, you could just run through bosses, and if you're good, you could do it.
That's the problem with translating to a board game. There's dice. You know, there's a random element. You can get whacked by the boss for over half your HP through no real fault of your own. But how would you translate the skill of Dark Souls to a tabletop turn-based game? I think that's now impossible.
Yeah.
Cheat.
Which, it's not to say that they've done a bad job in translating it, but it's when everything else is trying so hard to mirror the mechanics. I don't know, it just makes that stand out a bit.
Might have been better to have reduced how much they're mirroring and make it a bit more board gamey rather than go for so much authenticity and then have glaring holes in it, you know?
Play it like everyone did fighting fantasy books, you know, you just like...
You put your thumb in before that, re-roll it, put your thumb in the last thing.
Yeah?
You see, I liked it when they started getting wise to that, because they'd actually fuck you 3 or 4 choices before that in the fork, because they knew people were sticking their thumb in and saying, oh, I made a bad choice, I'm going to go back, and then they screwed you on it.
And they'd have it where, like, when you get to X point, add 20 onto the page you're on, and there wouldn't be a hint on that
Sneaky bastards.
page.
Yeah.
Now, there's something that could make a great video game. The Steve Jackson and Ian Livingston unit.
They've tried.
They've made several. Yeah.
They've done, I played, it was on the DS. They did tried to do a dungeon crawl one based on
Orcs and something.
It wasn't that one, I don't think. It was actually one of the books. I want to say it was Death Trap Dungeon, but it may have been Citadel of Chaos.
Yeah, there was just recently a re-release of Warlock at Firetop Mountain, which is they translated the book, but they put some video game elements in it. Sorcery is one. Go and if you want to spend a good few hours of awesome writing, great art, really great gameplay, get the Sorcery Quadrilogy on iOS, because that was the advanced fighting fantasy, basically, Sorcery by Steve Jackson. Those translations are wonderfully well done. Yep. I
bought the...
there you go. There's some Sorcery.
Amazing book.
Sorcery is lovely.
They're so fucking good.
I used to love the hell out of them. For my... a couple of Christmases ago, I got The Pit. I think it's called Into the Pit. Which is an old monster compendium from back in the day. A friend of mine had it and we used to just love looking at the pictures and stuff. And I really wanted it again. And it's great to look through and read. And I used to love those.
They were great.
The four sorcery books to me were head and shoulders above all the other ones. They were so fucking
better written. They had advanced
really
mechanics.
Hit their peak there.
Yeah.
Is that the one that started with the Shamatanti Hills, where I think
Yes.
I loved that. Is the book that introduced me to the concept of the Manticore, and it therefore became one of my favorite monsters in mythology. Because that artwork on the cover of Shamatanti Hills is so effing good.
Jesse,
so good.
You seem...
I just discovered that Death Trap Dungeon is on Steam. It's an old PlayStation game.
Yeah, they did a full-on third-person dungeon crawl game after Death Trap Dungeon, and then they did a bunch of we're going to translate the books in some way, either just directly, which are fine, by the way.
I've got a direct translation on the PS Vita. Warlock could fight up mountain.
Yeah, Tin Man Games did them, I think.
Those books were so fantastic because in the days before we had stuff like open world games where you could like explore these amazing worlds, these books were the closest thing we had to that in our
they could give you this
also, you could get them from the school library. It felt like you were getting one over on the education system. It's like, I'm reading, but I'm also playing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this amazing ad for Death Trap Dungeon that I just linked in chat there? And I'm gonna put it in the chat for everyone to see as well. That is phenomenal 90s advertising.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
I miss the days when video game companies could get away with just putting a literal dominatrix in their adverts. That's wonderful.
Here's the crazy thing.
Wow.
The advertising is almost like that of Dark Souls, where it's like, this is really hard, and it's purposely hard.
Death Trap Dungeon was actually horrendous.
It's funny because the books generally weren't like that. They didn't have a lot of kind of sexism and stuff.
No.
But it was
that goat
but it was
lady
90s
advertising of 90s video game.
Yeah.
That's,
remember, oh God.
Have a dominatrix there.
You remember bloody Derek Smart's Battlecruiser 3000 AD, where he just got, I assume, a porn star, half-naked porn star, sit bottoms off in front of a big box of Battlecruiser 3000 AD. Tagline is just, she really wants it. It's like, no, she probably does not. Nobody does. That game was awful.
For Super Mario Brothers 2, where they just had some woman draped over a pile of them, and underneath it just said tits.
I don't remember that one.
You mean that beautiful image right there?
That must just pass me by.
This right there?
That exact one.
Oh, you found it. Yep, that one. That was the one.
It was very unusual for Nintendo at the time, but
I don't know what that game is, but I know I want it.
It's awful is what it is. Absolutely awful. So again, back to the Dark Souls board game, I guess. I think if what you're looking for is as close a translation as you can from the video game to a board game, if you're also willing to put several hours into it, it's pretty cool. I think in terms of like just an elegant, fun game, the Bloodborne card game is far above that. It is designed by a very experienced designer who made some incredible games. It's not like Bloodborne, but as a totally co-op, but I can screw you over because this is more of a who gets the most score at the end tactical card game that's easy to teach. Bloodborne just runs away with it. It's a wonderful game. It's awesome. I'd recommend it to... I've never played Bloodborne, but I loved the hell out of it, and as did the two other people at the table who never have either.
Anyone who
you've got to love Dark Souls to like Dark Souls, the board game, though.
Anyone who regularly listens to our podcast is completely sick of hearing about Bloodborne. When that game came out, I don't think we talked about anything else for like 4 weeks.
We talked a fair bit about Bloodborne.
Yeah.
We talked a fair bit.
It's a masterpiece. I mean, it's just, there's no other word for it. It's an incredible game.
I do love
Battleborn, guys. Battleborn.
Just when they've put a free trial out now, permanent free trial.
I liked Battleborn. I still maintain a problems for it. I thought it was a great little game that just got really badly screwed over.
Had some pretty key problems with it. Wasn't well marketed. I'd go back and play it because I thought it was a genuinely good game. I
enjoyed it a lot. I liked being the mushroom person.
Yeah.
If it launched a year before Overwatch, it would have done all right, I think.
The fellow with the hat and the rifle and the owls, he was a lovely fella. Loved him.
I think the main lesson I learned from Overwatch's success and Bloodborne's failure is you need to put a time-traveling lesbian on the box of your game, and then it'll sell.
Not Bloodborne, I don't think had a time-traveling lesbian, but Battleborne, yes.
Battleborn, no time-traveling lesbian on the box, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately not. But yeah,
Bloodborne's lore is very mysterious. You wouldn't know if there was.
You never know if there is. I mean, was Eileen the Crow a time traveler? We don't know if she was.
I'm realizing now, did I accidentally say Bloodborne instead of Battleborn?
Yes, that's exactly what you did. Yes.
Okay. It's still the same thing though. It means the exact same thing. The other. Success is determined by your cover box art. True.
Yes, Battleborn was also about menstruation and pregnancy.
Are you suggesting that Battleborn was?
Yeah.
And Overwatch,
it was a very, very deep subtext, but it was there.
Okay.
Yeah. Bloodborne is a game all about menstruation and pregnancy.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And we're saying that...
I mean, the levels
also Battleborn and Overwatch.
The levels called the Nightmare of fucking Menzies,
Indeed.
I love how I mentioned that on Twitter once, and people got really disgusted. And I was like, so you don't mind that in this game you shove your fist up a pig's ass and pull its intestines out, but because there's something to do with period blood, now you're fucking grossed out.
Ew, cuties.
Yeah, man.
Cuties.
Yes.
Probably more hygienic than the blood in a pig's asshole.
I mean, I'd imagine.
Anything
I don't
in
have
an
any scientific
asshole probably
proof to back that up, but
isn't very. I don't know.
so
You don't know what kind of lifestyles those pigs lead. Sorry, I'll shut up so you can move on.
Moving on to video
I'm
games.
just saying, if I had to pick one or the other to see at the bottom of a KFC bucket, I probably.
Whoa, pause. Wait, what? Like, you get to the bottom of the bucket and there's like a video playing, or there's an actual asshole in the bottom of the bucket?
I'm talking about an actual, like a physical fried up along with the rest of the chicken.
Moving along to video games.
Are you
Anyone
sure you
else
don't
got
want
a
to
hat
stick
to
with this
throw
one?
in it?
Are you
No,
sure you
I'm
don't want to
pretty
stick
sure.
with menstrual blood
Fairly
clots?
certain.
How did the asshole
yes.
get there, though? I have so many
It's the
questions.
Podquisition
Moving
podcast.
on.
Is it just the butt cheeks and like a little?
I'm
hole?
going to
Like,
mute
how?
every one of you. If you
Before we
can't,
move on, I just
calm
want to
down,
say I'm
children.
so glad I'm not the one that did the gross out humor.
All I'll say is you need an empty fleshlight holder.
Oh, God's sake.
What are you doing with your chicken?
Everyone blames me for the gross out humor.
Jesse, you don't want to know what he does with
him.
chicken.
Moving on to video games. Children, please. Jesse, what have you been playing this week?
Can I just give a delightful shout out to I have been playing an early build of Hand of Fate 2.
Ah, yes.
And like, shout out to that game for just being fun. Like a fun little adventure that still has a lot of kinks that need to be worked out before release, but like, you know, it's a card game plus you're sort of Arkham-ing your way around and killing people. Like, what's not to love about that? So I've been messing around with that. I like that this time around they've made it a little more tactical. So some of the missions you go on, one of the ones I think a lot of people have already played, so it's easy to talk about, is the mission where at the end, no matter what, an assassin is going to find you and will do a certain amount of damage to you. And so your basic objective is you go through the
Get
level.
your health up. So
Yeah, you
he
want to
doesn't
max out your health
one-shot
as high as you can. So when he does hit you, and then you go into the fight, you at least have some life left to beat him, which is pretty cool. Like, I love that idea. There's one where it has to do with food and collecting food and like giving it to people as you go through the level. So you want to have enough food that you can continue on, because each time you move, you lose a little apple. But at the same time, you want to dole it out to people and keep people happy. So it's pretty interesting. The
nice overarching
objective,
objective, you know, because there was a degree of resource management in the original Hand of Fate, but a lot of it was like, you sit there, he flips over a card, tells you what it does, flips over another card, etc. But add a little bit more of that in there, make it a little bit more tactical, improve that Arkham combat. Because let's be honest, the Arkham combat was the weakest bit of Hand of Fate.
Absolutely,
it was clunky. You were stuck with
a very nice idea, and it
was.
Served its purpose. It wasn't a huge deal breaker, but it would have been a way better game had that stuff. If they'd have gone all out on the combat as well, it would have.
And they kind of have now. I think you can have a companion along with you that does different stuff. Dual wielding is a thing, much larger variety of weapons. When I played it last year at PAX, everything definitely felt better. It felt tighter. So it looks like they've got that.
Playing Breath of the Wild recently was the first time I've ever really started to miss the Arkham combat system.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't stand the combat in Breath of the Wild.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Go on.
Oh Jesus, where do I
put you on the spot there, haven't I? I asked you about an opinion.
Yeah, the tiny ineffective dodge mechanic, the weapons breaking every 5 seconds, the just movement in general during combat, I couldn't deal with. I ended up just throwing bombs and like going off and wandering into a high level area and stealing a bunch of high level weapons and then coming back and then
Gav. You didn't bother me that much.
I noticed Jim's disappeared here because he doesn't want to get in trouble, because I know he kind of agrees with me a bit.
Jim's known for dodging controversy.
7 out of 10 worst game ever, Breath of the Wild, JimSterling.
Yeah.
I loved Breath of the Wild.
I think that was someone on Destructoid.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Look, I love that game, but it's, for me, far from a 10. Like, I thought it was very flawed, but still a beautiful experience.
Speaking as Nintendo's #1 fan, the only real Nintendo fan who exists, which we've clinically proven on the Jimquisition by now, I'm offended by what you've said about the world's perfectest game.
Yeah.
It is the Kurt Hennig of video games, and you have sullied its honor. It's
I gave
threats coming in from JimSterling.
I gave that game a 10. I recognize it's not perfect, but I think that it did enough interesting and unique that was not being done in other games that kept me hooked in a genre that I usually cannot stand, that I felt it merited being highlighted as something very special, because like I don't stick with open world games of that type the whole way through, and I did with Breath of the Wild. And like, for its flaws, I think that the fact it got me to play 200 hours of it in a genre I usually don't stick with says a lot for me.
Yeah, that's not too shabby when it comes to the value.
Let me rephrase that. The combat in Breath of the Wild was cool. I just didn't like the melee combat.
So
all the other methods of combat.
Oh,
okay.
Fun. So range is all right. Chucking bombs, shooting bows.
Chucking bombs, firing arrows. Being strategic was fun, but just having a sword fight, I just bleh. Nah.
I enjoyed the sword fights. I
know you did.
I get why people don't, but I liked them.
If I hadn't just finished Horizon when I started it, I probably would have had a better time with it, because I just fell in love with Horizon like no other game since Witcher 3. So maybe I was a bit biased going in, you know?
It's interesting because I think a lot of people felt the opposite way about those two games, that Zelda ruined Horizon for them rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I know. It's funny it was the other way around for me.
I didn't bloody play either of them. They both run at 30 frames per second, which is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I remember your tweet. If you add both of them together, you can have enough frames for a real game.
Yeah, you add them together, it'll be a video game.
Oh my goodness, the responses to that tweet were not happy.
You want some frames? I got some right here. Hell, even your new iPad's got some frames, 120 hertz screen. You can't even see more than 24. What's Apple thinking? Bloody nonsense, that.
The human eye can't frame rates. We know this.
None of them. 0 frame
rates. The human eye can't see above 30
lab.
FOV.
No. They were all walking around wearing horse blinders is what we're doing.
Yeah.
A philosophical point, really, more so than anything. Let's take a break when we come back.
Is the chat really angry at me right now, Laura?
They're mostly just spamming the 59 flaps logo.
59 frame rates appearing.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, talk a little bit more about games that we've been playing, wrap up what news there is, and do a little bit of releases, most of which look like absolute tosh, but we'll be right back after the break. You're watching the Cooptional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cooptional Podcast for the final 50 or so minutes of the show. Talk a little bit more about anything else that we've been playing this week, and then move on a little bit to news. There's a little bit rolling around. For instance, the fact that they quite literally announced the death of Greenlight about an hour ago, said it's done officially today, it's gone. But we'll get onto that in a moment. Anybody got anything else that they've been playing that they'd love to talk about?
I went back to Wolfenstein: The New Order.
That's always a good thing.
It's a great game.
What if there was an announcement at E3 about a new one?
There almost certainly will be. They were teasing new Colossus last year, I believe, so that's absolutely going to happen.
That would be awesome. I hope they don't go the route they did with the expansion with the zombie stuff.
I did not like Old Blood that much. I'm told that I kind of gave up on it right before it got good, but that doesn't mean the first 4 hours of it shouldn't have been better.
Oh, no, it was the other way around for me. I liked the first 4 hours in the castle, but I didn't like all the zombie stuff afterwards.
All right, which is fair. I mean, Wolfenstein has done the paranormal thing a lot, but generally speaking, it's done it in a way more interesting way. And that is like, the zombies, like, is that all you could come up with? Really?
Yeah, and it was at a point as well when that came out, when every second game coming out was some form of zombie game.
That did not help, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. God damn, I'd love a new Command & Conquer game. I just realized that out of nowhere. It's like, give me another Command & Conquer game. Or just remaster of any existing one. That would be great.
Yeah, I could go for more Red Alert too. I really enjoyed that. I'd go for a nice remaster.
That would be very enjoyable, actually. It's one of the few strategy games I would be able to get into because I don't have the brain to do. I'm not very clever, so I can't do strategy stuff.
They're so hard. It's the micromanaging more than 2 or 3 things at once. It just fries my brain. I just can't do it.
That's half the bloody fun of it. And everyone that's tried to change that, well, they either became League of Legends or they fail miserably.
Oh no, I'm not saying they should change it at all. I'm just saying that's why I can't play them, because they're just too hard for my stupid brain.
Get a nice big blob of tank, send it that way, and then launch a few super weapons and hope for the best.
I couldn't even do Brutal Legend. Like, that's how bad at RTS stuff I am.
I mean, there are a good few valid reasons not to be able to handle Brutal Legends RTS bits. They're a bit odd.
Yeah.
I liked them because it was like Sacrifice, which was a wonderful shiny game, but that game was also very odd, but great for that reason.
Brutal Legend had the most lying demo of any game.
Oh God, it did
ever. It made you think it was going to be this awesome, like, third-person action slasher thing, and then you play the game and it's a fucking RTS.
Well, I mean, it took about 6 hours to get to the RTS bit, all things considered. I loved that fact. I think it was great, but yeah, you're probably right. I think a lot of people did not want that. I did.
What a soundtrack, though. Wow.
Oh, yes. Ozzy Osbourne as the guy that does your upgrades. I love it.
LauraKBuzz as the
Rest in
bass
peace.
master. Yeah.
I've been replaying doing my New Game Plus on Persona 5.
Ah, yes.
And
still working my way through the first playthrough of that.
Yeah, I'm still loving it. The thing that's annoying me most on the second playthrough that annoyed me the first time around as well is still the fact that with the checkpoints as far apart as they are, sometimes up to say 30 or 40 minutes of dungeon crawl apart, I really dislike the combination of enemies with one-hit kill attacks that can randomly insta-kill you, alongside if your lead party member, Joker, dies, your whole party is considered dead and you go back to the checkpoint. That can it doesn't happen often, but it can be really irritating if you get insta-killed and have to go back like 30 minutes of progress. Like you can work around it by doing things like selecting personas that are are immune to whatever the insta-kill type is that is prevalent in that dungeon. But if the first time you see that insta-kill attack is when it's used on Joker, and
you don't see it
been
coming.
able to prepare a persona and you go back 30 minutes of progress, that's irritating.
Yes, that's a very Persona-like thing. I think that's the reason I haven't done a New Game Plus on a Persona, because to me, that's not what I play Persona games for. The combo of the cool social gaming and the storytelling and the dungeon crawling is a nice little combination. One gives you the break from the other. If you overindulge on one aspect of that game, to me, it sends it right off the rails. Yeah. So I will not do New Game Plus on Persona 5.
Persona 5, I've heard so much about this game, and what I want to ask you guys is it good enough that for someone who can tolerate turn-based combat but doesn't love it, and who just isn't into anime 100%. At all?
Yes.
There's such a fluidity to the way it operates that even though it's very clearly a turn-based thing, it moves at such a pace, it feels like an
it's
is
slick.
The story good enough that it would transcend for someone who really doesn't like anime?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah,
it
probably
would have every chance to draw you in.
More so than 4, I think.
So many people shout at me to play that game this year. Like,
don't worry about the anime. Trust me.
What I'll say about it mechanically that might help if you will tolerate but don't want to keep grinding at turn-based combat. If you work out an attack that your enemy is weak to, you can basically hold down a trigger button in combat, and if you have a move that they're weak to, it'll automatically do that move. And there's a lot of things like that will if you fought an enemy before.
Is there an easy mode?
There is.
I mean, generally with turn-based stuff, I just put it on easy because I cannot stand random shit in games.
If you're not big on turn-based combat, put it on easy. Bear in mind that you can get it to auto do melee attacks. You can auto target with whatever attack an enemy is weak against if you fought them before. There's a lot of things like that.
A lot of the fiddling out
through.
Yes. I don't like JRPG dungeon crawling either. Persona 4 is one of 2 JRPGs I've ever finished, the other being Dragon Quest VIII. Persona 5 will probably be the 3rd one that I finish. So that should be an indication that.
And here's a very important thing that is the decider for me on Persona 5. Do they do the thing that they do in all the anime stuff where they keep grunting and going
No.
all the time? Whenever
really.
they see something, they exclaim it.
Nah.
No, they typically actually speak in response, if I recall correctly. A lot of time, there's a lot of talking, which you might also not
it's either
like.
talking in response or
There's a lot of
silent
talking.
in response.
There's a lot of that. Well, enjoy the first 7 hours basically being on rails. There's a lot of talking. If you don't like the characters, you're going to be fucked because you're stuck with them for a long time. But yeah,
and get used to your cat telling you it's time to go to bed, even though you still want to be doing
fuck
content.
that guy.
The visual style was so cool that
It is
kind of
super cool.
has tempted me to play it more than most other anime style things.
Yes.
It's worth giving a go. I know Persona 4 for me was... I tried some of Persona 3, but I never gave it enough. I gave it 2 hours, which is normally enough of a fair shake for a video game. But
Persona 3 has
Persona
a lot of problems.
hours, like maybe not so much. But I stuck with it with Persona 4 and then just hit a point where I'm like... Because I was like, okay, this is okay, all right, I suppose. This is interesting a little. And then suddenly, that's why everybody loves it.
You have to go into Persona games knowing that their pacing... definitely at the beginning of the game and at certain points. Otherwise, glacial is a good word for it. The pacing can really drag in places.
I'm okay with slow pacing.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked the pacing in Assassin's Creed 2. So.
Yeah, the place where it's most notable is always the opening, because the opening will be very linear. You don't really get to make any choices. You're not hitting any of the combat or the dungeons, and it's just read through an awful lot of text. It's good text, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah. Thankfully, Persona 5 did toss in a little bit of fighting early on and a bit of dungeon to spice it up. But in trade for that, the linear opening on rails drags longer than Persona 4's did. So that's a bit of a trade-off. But yeah, I mean, it's what a lot of Japanese games love to do, which is a huge straight-up illusion of choice, or just straight up telling you, no, you can't do that.
Persona 5 does at least, like, it opens not only with a section of combat, but it also has, like, some interesting hooks of, this is where the narrative's going to end up. Now play through this slow opening of introducing
they jump back and forth in the timeline, which they foreshadow a lot of stuff deliberately, which is an interesting narrative technique. And as you said, the style of it, the aesthetic is wonderful. Absolutely, like completely unique, mind-blowingly good. Yeah.
My New Game Plus, I looked up a guide for New Game Plus just to Google some things like, hey, what areas was it that had one-hit kill attack enemies, and what type of move is it, so I can avoid losing progress. I'm not afraid to do that, considering I've gone through the game already. So
yeah, you don't need to worry about that for a standard playthrough. And honestly, to me, I don't think that's what Persona's about. That the whole dungeon crawling aspect of it, I think it's bollocks. I'll do my one playthrough, finish it, and that'll be it.
Do you guys always do that? Because funny you said that, Laura, because that's the thing I do as well. On my first playthrough of a game, I'm very reluctant to look up guides and things. But particularly with something now like From Games, on my second run, I'll want to make it a bit easier for myself. I'll always look up the best strategies and the guides and all
definitely.
that.
Yeah. Like I will play it once through blind, and then I feel no guilt about looking up like guides or anything afterwards.
And then when you find those really simple solutions to things that took you hours, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, that game's great. Continuing to make my way through that. I am looking forward, probably after the show, to playing a little bit of Wipeout. Oh man, this in 4K 60 is going to be fucking gorgeous. I mean, the soundtrack for the Wipeout games was amazing. This has 2048 on it, which was the one on Vita that suffered from being on Vita, and now it's on a capable platform. I've always loved the Wipeout games. I think they're phenomenal. So getting to play this again, I'm very much looking forward to.
I'm so happy we are getting a resurgence of super fast floating car races like that.
Red Out, that one that came out on Switch launch. Yes,
I'm so glad we're getting the just go ludicrously fast while floating over a track.
Yeah, they've also got Grip is currently in early access, which is like Roll Cage, and Formula Fusion, I believe, ex-Wipeout devs on that. I fucking love futuristic racing games, especially if they've got weapons in them. Love it. All over that. Yeah, I might pick up a Switch just to play the portable version of Red Out, because Red Out is incredible.
Yeah.
Play Red Out. What are you doing? So good.
Well, the last one I played was F-Zero on the SNES.
Also great.
Damn.
Yeah, also lovely. Any other games anyone wants to chop up and toss into the pot?
don't know what else has been out recently.
I mean, I'm continuing to
Anyone
play
Gwent?
a little bit,
man.
just a wee bit. Yeah, Gwent's wonderful. Even
It's
though
the only card game I like.
I'm not even into the universe because I didn't really play the Witcher games, but mechanically it's so different that it's got its hooks in me a little bit. I don't know if I'll keep playing it long term, but I do like it.
I don't know if I'd play it long term as a standalone, but as a mini game distraction in The Witcher 3, I did find it quite addicting.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I never liked card games.
Maintain that long term is a question.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to see.
Well, I mean, how many rounds of it would you? I mean, I got all the cards in the core game, and what was it about? That would be about maybe 40, 50 games you play over the entire game. I could be completely wrong here. It could be much less.
I imagine they'll want you to play a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only other one I might throw in of games I've played is I've been playing Disgaea 5 on the Switch, and literally the only thing I can say about that game is that game's a really good fit for Switch. It's really nice to have a portable version of that game, considering how ridiculously, ludicrously lengthy it is. But it's also nice to have a TV option. Like it's a game that benefits off being off the Switch, and there's really nothing else to say about it. Yeah,
I like Disgaea on principle. And as soon as I get into this dungeon has 1,000 levels and every item is its own 1,000 level dungeon, I'm like, please stop. I love tactics. This is too much. It's a little bit too far for me.
It's too intensive for me to ever want to sit down and play on a TV. But 1,000 level dungeon, I will sit and do 3 or 4 of them on some travel and then put it down again. I will play it in fits and starts and take 3 years to get through it. But
yes, yeah.
I would be too daunted to ever turn it on again on a TV because that will absorb my life if I let it.
Oh man, Disgaea has a wonderful sense of humor though. Prinnies are the best fucking things in the universe. That will never change. Speaking of sort of dungeon crawly stuff, I do continue to dip into Dead Cells and now firmly believe it is the best roguelike game that has ever been made by anybody bar none, even in its current state. Holy fucking crap, that game is good. Jesus.
I played some of that back at PAX Australia, I think it was, and this was like probably 4 or 5 months back. It was already looking really good. This is the one that's like
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the best I can describe it, and this doesn't do it justice, is 2D Dark Souls Castlevania, but that doesn't do it justice.
No,
it's
not
so
in the
much
slightest.
more than that.
Yeah, it is. If you took all the roguelite stuff out, like procedural generation, permadeath, meta progression, the 3 things you have to have for a roguelite, fight me, anyone that claims otherwise. If you took all of that out, it would still be a fucking great action platformer, brawler, Metroidvania-y thing. Add those in, throw in a really compelling loot system that is constantly evolving, a ton of cool roguelite-y things like this door only opens if you get here in 3 minutes. Oh, you can get through this 1,000 gold door, but the gods will curse you and insta-kill you unless you kill 10 enemies before this. Random dude says this. You want to tickle some slime? You can tickle some slime, mate. All that kind of mystery stuff. Add all that in on top of it, along with an incredible art style, amazing animation, great performance, unbelievable color palette, slick, tight combat, incredible selection of items and weapons. The fact that they throw cool items and weapons right off the bat at you and make you feel powerful, but also make enemies feel varied and powerful as well. Throw all of that at you, and you make just the best roguelite thing that's ever been made by a country fucking mile. It's incredible. It
is fantastic. Like I will stand by how good this game is. In that, like, I think there's a quote of something I said of it on the Steam page, and I'm like, yeah, I usually am a bit iffy about devs doing that before their games are out, because I think they took something from a preview and put it in their reviews column on Steam. But I was like, you know what? Your game's really good. I'm going to let this one slide because your game's really damn good.
I think they retweeted me when I said, it seems like Dead Cells took everything that I don't like about roguelike games and fixed it all. And I stand by that. I think they have. Since I just did a video on another roguelite, which in this case was a space game called Everspace, which falls into a bunch of the traps roguelike games have a tendency of falling into, and Dead Cells avoids every one of those pits.
The big thing I'll say about it is, for anyone that's turned off by the fact that it says early access on it on Steam, they've gone one way around it that it's for better or worse. they've not done the whole thing of here's the complete game. We're putting the features in over time, but you can play it start to finish. They've done, you can play this much of the game, but it's
play
feature.
half of it. Yeah. Which, honestly, and even half of it feels pretty damn good.
Yeah. The content that is there is very, very polished, but you do hit a sudden, this is where the game ends currently. Come back later, which...
Yeah. Thankfully, if you're bad, you won't hit it. Yay!
Well, that's my question is, when I hit that, am I going to remember to come back to it down the line?
That's the darkest dungeon problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we all, everybody here, I imagine, probably dabbled in Darkest Dungeon Early Access, Jim. I believe you tried that out, and we're all like, tasty. Oh, I want to finish, though. Ooh.
Yeah. This is why I've not been talking about it too much, because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to recommend this until it's done.
I've been
it's a tricky one.
A lot of people have told me to play it. It's on my list. I need a new decent controller for it, because just something tells me I'm going to want one for that.
It does recommend it. I play with Master Keyboard and I think it's kind of fine, but I
have
have fallen
in
a few too many spike pits, so maybe it'll help.
It's on my to-do list because I've heard pretty much everything you've said. Others have said.
Be aware it does Darkest Dungeon. It hits its point and says, remember to come back later to finish this.
Gotcha.
They did just do a big update on it, the Elemental update, which has shoved a lot more stuff in it. But yeah, it is kind of like, this is really good. When it comes out, it'll probably be really good. Maybe I should hold off a bit. But it's nice, though. It's
a good game.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a good game. And I'm still playing a little bit of Skullgirls Mobile, which is surprisingly good. Collectible gacha fighter. Most of those suck. This feels like an actual fighting game you can play with one thumb. And it's got all Skullgirls assets in it, which is great. Great animation, great music, great characters. I'm definitely running into I'm a bit worried because Skullgirls doesn't have a very big roster. So doing a kind of gacha collectible fighter with only that many variants available is probably going to be an issue. I don't feel like it's shaking me down for money. I spent like $15 on it because I felt like it. I've never really felt the desire to put any more money into it. There's so much content. Tons of daily events, massive story mode with 3 difficulty levels, PvP. It's all in there from the start. And yeah, I play it every day.
Microtransactions in games and stuff. I say you do a free-to-play model and all that kind of stuff.
Probably why it'll fail, I imagine, because it's not milking people enough. It'll probably fall flat on its face as a result. It's a bit sad, really, but it's nice. It's nice. I think that's about it, really. Unless anyone has a quick one to toss in, we can move on.
I mean, people keep wanting me to talk about Friday the 13th, but I think I've made my opinions perfectly clear on that one. All I'll add, because I've talked about it in several locations, all I'll add from my previous opinions, those opinions being I'm not particularly impressed by the technical shit show, is I don't recall in any Friday the 13th movie Jason Voorhees ripping somebody's arms off and then those arms doing their own special little dances as they just plant like magical little trees in the ground.
Lovely.
And just spin around.
It would have made for a better movie.
There and then just disappears.
I can't tell if you're expressing this as a positive or a negative right now.
If anything, I love it. I'm in.
I mean,
this sounds all a bit Evil Dead to me.
Considering it can take up to 10 minutes for me to get into a game, I take my pleasures where I can. So in this context, the spinny hand trees are about the best I'm going to get.
I would talk about Friday the 13th, but it's difficult to talk about a game when you can't get into a match after several hours of waiting.
What gets me is this game is a full release. It's not early access. Like $40 right at the bat. It's like, this is finished. No, it fucking isn't. And that's very obvious.
Not at all. And you know, bless their hearts. I think they want to make it good. They're not just taking people for a ride.
I've heard some good things.
They shot way too early on this one.
Yeah.
And that's it. The only other game I've been playing is a game called Bricks, which nobody has heard of. Why would they? Okay. But if you imagine Steam as it is right now, where pretty much anything can get up on there, without the refund policy. And no real trading card market, but also no expectation that games are cheap. So you can get away with charging $10 for a game with $1 worth of content. And you've just imagined what happens when you go down far enough in the PlayStation store. PS4 really is the Steam console people wanted, because the amount of shite, the amount of sleazy, dreary shit that is on that fucking service that I have been finding. Today, Bricks, which I purchased to do some video coverage of, just to, again, try and petition Sony to give me the drugs they've been taking to allow this and to promote Life of Black Tiger. So I bought it, played it. It is a really shitty Arkanoid breakout kind of thing. It's you got the pad, you got the ball, you break the bricks. The only selling point is behind the bricks is some, anime girl with big old busters,
of course,
in a bikini, wobbling about a bit in glorious high definition. No artistic cohesion, because they've just pulled these artworks from anywhere. So sometimes you've got more realistically drawn girls who are either pirates or vampires. I don't know why those two things to go together, but there you go. When it's not scantily clad women, it's other edgy things like death, like a skull with a cloak and everything, looking all badass.
It's terrifying.
Or a werewolf going rawr. We're not going rawr because there's silent images.
Of course.
And I decided I was like, there's no way they've designed these images. I'm just going to find high quality GIFs of these and just put them in the video description, because I popped it up on YouTube today. Turns out, instead of that, this is sort of a cannibalistic asset flip, because the developers, S Mobile, whose logo is just spelled Smobile, sell PS4 dynamic themes.
Oh,
and those are the backgrounds
kind of people,
in Bricks. So they're selling their own dynamic themes with this really crap, looks like it could be on Google Play for $1, Arkanoid clone on it. And that's what I played this
I don't know what happened with Sony's store, man.
That sounds really like a game that used to be in... Now, we're going a long way back. I remember when I was a kid, there was an arcade down the road, and they had this one game where the objective was to clear the screen, and when you cleared the screen, you get a topless Japanese girl, and the game would shout "lucky, lucky" at you.
Yeah, it's that in theory, except that
when we were playing that in 1991, 92, so we were 11 years old playing this fucking thing.
The problem with this one is the bricks don't really obscure much anyway. There are only a few levels where some of the stuff's obscured, and it's not like you're looking at it, because you've got this ball bouncing around everywhere. So it defeats the purpose. It's like, you can't have a sly wank over this. Even when you beat it, you get a little tune, and then it's gone. So unless you can jizz off real fucking quick, then you're not going to get along well with
Jim, that's what the share button's for. You can very quickly save the image to watch later.
But that's piracy, is what that is.
Or whatever. You don't need to... I imagine you don't need to pay $14 for not even porn. The trailer that they're showing on the PS Store claims it's got an ESRB rating of M for mature.
There's no way that was ESRB rated.
I find that highly suspect, and in that case, I would wonder why Sony are allowing lies to be published on their storefront.
Yeah, they have
they won't talk about any of this.
No, they've just completely forgotten any sense of curation, apparently, on that platform. But yeah, there we go. Speaking of curation, so the big news right now, as of the last 2 hours, is that Greenlight is officially done now.
Hold on.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Closed today, that being the 6th of June, with direct launching on June the 13th. I'm going to assume he's coming back with some kind of flag, possibly...
Party poppers, or...
If that was on camera, that would have been ideal.
Yeah, we missed it.
I mean, we got the sound. I'll give it that. We did get the sound. The
camera shot the paper from the thing all the way over to the back of my monitor, where it will now catch fire.
I trust
I thought
that
you were
happened.
popping champagne there.
I was open. He's going to go find some sparkly. All right, go for it. Give it another shot. Frame it properly first. We don't need the surprise. We need a well-planned, well-framed shot here. Let's get out of it.
Hold it up in front of the camera.
All right, hey, that's all right. That works. Yep, that's good.
Yeah.
Do it. Yes. There you go. It's all over our faces now. Lovely. Greenlight's dead. They made a sort of post-mortem blog saying, hey, we launched it in 2012. They were saying, yeah, we weren't confident about the taste of our players. We wanted to give more opportunities to games, and since then we've had great games come through Greenlight, like War for the Overworld, Evil Land, Rogue Legacy, Verdun, even recent release like Dead Cells and Blackwake, and talking about voting through Greenlight and talking about this is what gets me the most. Some of these titles are in the top 100 selling games ever, such as The Forest and 7 Days to Die, both of which are unfinished and abandoned, I think, right now.
7 Days to Die, that also on the PlayStation Network. And
I'm sure it is.
On it.
The thing that kind of gets me about it is they've constantly said this, defending Greenlight. That's like, look, without Greenlight, we wouldn't have possibly known that things like Dead Cells and Verdun and Rogue Legacy and so forth would have been popular. Are you out of... No, of course you would have. There's nothing unusual about any of those games. They're not in some weird genre. It's like, well, we had no idea that this obscure Asian visual novel would suddenly sell 1 million copies. No, these games were obviously good to anybody. Anybody that looked at them would have said that. Here's the thing,
like, I'll give them a pass on the visual novel. Okay,
yes, of course.
Surprise.
That's fair.
But it feels like that's the only one they've got, but they know, good lists comes in 3s and stuff like that. Like, we need at least 3, maybe more. Like, what else we got? Like, let's pretend that Dead Cells, we wouldn't think that had... Yeah, Dead Cells
that
as well.
That would have never got on there otherwise. Yeah, sure, all right.
So I don't know what video games are, Ethan. So
my feeling on the life and death of Greenlight is that it mirrors, like, the early arc of the Bible. In the Bible, God gives, the power to the humans, and he's like, yeah, I trust you. You can have free will. You can do whatever you want. I trust you not to fuck things up. And then eventually God has to flood the entire planet and start over.
The asset went in 2 by 2, hurrah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we fucked up.
Went in 2 by 2. Oh, sorry.
Trusting you to have free will was a big mistake. Let's flood everything and start afresh. And I feel
don't give him any ideas, Laura. Look at
It's I kind of had to pull back what I said about The Forest and 7 Days to Die. They are actually still being updated, and they're being played by quite a lot of people, supposedly. So
they got a big fan base.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, because there was a period where both of those games were not really being updated at all, and turns out that's not true anymore. So I retract what I said.
When 7 Days went on the PS4, it was in a very unfinished state, and they were charging $30 for it. And people were like, "What the fuck is this?" So yeah, like one of the first early access games to be on PS4, but not labeled as an early access game because they don't have that.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Bit dodgy.
Yeah. Of course, Steam Direct coming. We know that it's going to cost $100 per game. That is, for a lot of people that do not know, a significant difference from Greenlight, where you could pay $100 and that was it. You could submit as many games as you wanted. $100 per game, combined with these new methods to disable what is called trading card farming, which is the reason why the majority of these asset flips were there in the first place, will most likely be enough to deter a lot of shit. Combine that hopefully with a better search algorithm and visibility and all that kind of thing, and more importance for curators, and hopefully you'll run into less crap on Steam. It'll be there, but it'll be hidden and buried, and there won't be a financial incentive to make it.
As someone that's done indie game development and put stuff out on itch.io before, $100 feels like the perfect amount to do for this. By being on a per game basis, as you said, it stops people from just like paying once and then being incentivized to just
dumping 17
farm
games
out as
on
many games as they can. Yeah. And it's, it's still enough money that it's not insignificant. There are going to be developers who have made a single game by themselves, and that $100 up front might be a barrier to them, and that's a shame. But I don't think it's likely to be a barrier for most people doing low-term indie development.
No.
And worst case scenario, it's a small enough amount that crowdfunding that amount isn't
Put
ridiculous.
it up on itch.io, sell $100 worth of the games, and then fund the direct with that.
I feel like raising the fee could have an even worse effect because, being good at making games and having a lot of money, they're not mutually exclusive.
Being good at anything and having a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
My biggest concern was the effect it would have on developers in countries with much lower mean income. So Eastern European developers in particular. There's a rising game scene, development scene in India, in Pakistan, even in Iran right now. South Africa is starting to get going there. That would have hurt all of those. That's not good.
And honestly,
a lot of good games made in Russia.
A lot of tosh coming from Russia as well. It's where a lot of the Greenlight card farming came from. But yeah, you're right. There's a bunch of good Russian devs too.
As well. Their problem isn't so much even the card farming; it's this delusion that they're above criticism. And I know you've dealt with plenty of these,
done that, got the t-shirt.
Plenty of these chances. And I
just
think
don't bother with them anymore.
When you're dealing with someone with delusions of grandeur that high, no amount of money is going to stop them. You can raise it as high as you want, but we watched a company bankrupt themselves trying to sue anonymous people on Steam because they didn't like their games. There is no financial barrier that would stop them, and instead, the financial barrier would just potentially cut out people who might have something worthwhile to bring to the table.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's also a recoup system as well, so you do get the money back if you sell a certain number of copies. So I'm not.
Yeah,
I think it's a decent amount.
$1,000 is the threshold that you get that money back, which is
reasonable, I would say. Have
they mentioned yet what this means for games that are just free?
I think you just pay the $100 and you don't have a way of recouping it. You just pay the $100.
Well, I guess that's one of those. You're paying to have your art out there.
That's a funny one.
Pretty
because
much.
Some of the most popular games at the moment, there's this game called Bendy and the Ink Machine, which I haven't played. And I mentioned this on Podquisition. I have no interest in playing it, but it is interesting to me that this is a free game.
Entirely free.
I have not seen mentioned once in any gaming media outlet. And yet it's by far the most popular game amongst kids on YouTube at the moment, and I just think that's really interesting.
It's because of MatPat and Game Theory. It tapped into the Five Nights at Freddy's audience, and it was pushed heavily by a couple of massive YouTubers with very young audiences. And of course, since it's free, everyone went in. I think MatPat did a whole how this is secretly whatever he does, and a bunch of kids bought into that. So that can definitely happen. Unturned back then, which is still not a bad. It's a free game made by a pretty young team. I mean, literally young. I think it was teenagers made it, and it was surprisingly competent for what it was. And a lot of kids got into it because hey, this is DayZ, but we don't have to pay for it, and we don't have to try and get our parents' credit card, and we can all play for free together and stuff. So there's room for that.
And I guess if you try and get that big, go that route, there's merchandise opportunities. I suppose.
Course, yeah.
You can.
Donations are usually enough
a long game, I guess. So you market it to kids, you make it free, and then you see what opportunities come.
Well, that was what was funny to me about the whole Bendy thing. It's it made me question the ethics of what we do as YouTubers, because all of these YouTubers were getting millions of views and making a lot of money. It seemed like the only people who weren't making money on this game were the people who made the game.
Well, if they put a price tag on it, they would have. I mean, it's hey, we didn't make any money. Yeah, but your product's free.
Definitely,
it's free.
I mean, that's when they, I'm
make
sure
the sequel.
One of them have just thought to themselves, DLC.
Yeah. Well, it's a episodic thing, so it'll be interesting to see if they put.
Hugely advantageous to them. I don't really worry too much about that stuff because, look, either we as YouTubers, if your game's good, pushed a bunch of sales your way, free marketing you otherwise wouldn't have got. Or if either your game wasn't good, then that's your fault. And if you didn't charge properly, you monetize properly for it, well, there for next time, and you already have an audience there now, which you didn't have before.
Leader of sorts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's promotional. That's how you should view it. It's a promotional product for your next big thing.
And at $100, if you have a game plan you're confident in, it's not a huge investment.
No, it ain't.
You've probably invested way more making the thing that you were going to give away for free.
Without a question.
If you weren't just, piecing it together from some bullshit that you pirated.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. All right, we shall move on to releases then, I think. I don't really think there's a lot else going on there. I'm going to toss this to you all by Skype here so that you know. Jesse did the culling today. Big thanks to him for that. There were a good 60 titles on there. Thankfully, not so much anymore, so that should make things a little easier. I have a feeling as soon as I switch this overlay, we're going to get double Laura again. I'll try and fix that as quickly as I can, but it is what it is. We don't have a Dodger to read it today, so Jesse, you did the culling, so you can read it out and explain why are these games still here on this release list. All right, here we go. What you got?
The first game, June 6th, that's today, is Passepartout.
Passepartout.
The Starving Artist. It's like an artist simulator, starving artist simulator. And I was like, this is so weird. It's great.
Oh,
I
nice.
covered this
That sounds right up my street.
I covered this on the Best of Steam Greenlight trailers when it was trying to get on Greenlight. So where I just look at stuff on there that doesn't look like absolute horror trash, and that was one of them. And it is a very clever idea. People come in, they want something painted, and you are making the painting yourself, trying to match something. And yeah, it seems like a really clever idea. It's got this sort of puppet look to it, like everything is like I forget exactly, but I think it's a marionette style puppet.
Yeah.
But everything looks like that, like you're on a stage more than in a real situation. So it's got this really charming artificial look to it. So I'm hoping it's good. That's out today.
Do you get to argue with people about doing
don't
it for
get it,
exposure?
I forget the full details on the mechanics, but there's some clever stuff going on there. Theoretically, whether it works practically, I
hope I get to quote Picasso at them. Picasso's wonderful line of where this woman asked him for a quick sketch, and he did it, and he said, that'll be 50 whatever. She said, but it only took you 30 seconds. He said, no, madam, it took me my lifetime.
Oh, apparently
fair point.
the trailer quotes me. So
lovely.
Oh, yeah?
Always a good sign.
You being the famous starving artist.
On the
Well, that was
grand
the only.
scale.
I was with a lot of these Steam Greenlight games. I'm one of the only guys looking. So for some of these games that I think have promise, I'm the only coverage they've got. So they tend to quote me a lot.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Otherwise, we will never finish. What's up next?
The next game is for PC and PS4. It's called Randall, and it is a action platformer that kind of looked a little stylish. That I was like, all right, looks a little better than most.
Some like it's the concept of future surveillance. Yeah, I mean the trailer is very stylized. It is, as you said, very much an action platformer, though, of which there are a lot of them. So it will have to do something a little special.
I'm looking out personally for, like, narratively it says it's something about a powerful telepath with a touch of schizophrenia, and I'm like, let's wait and see how that turns out, because that's so often so poorly portrayed in media.
You're on a thin line.
Yeah, a touch of schizophrenia. Yeah, the way that's phrased does not sound like it's going to be handled tastefully.
Yes, well, we'll see how that one goes. All right, moving on.
The next game is Hell Warders. I would suggest clicking the second trailer instead of the first one. The first one's jank.
All right.
But the second one makes it appear to be sort of a Dark Souls visual style Orcs Must Die game.
It's a co-op horde thing, yeah. Of which there are quite a few. The question is, will it be a good one? I see lots of numbers popping out of monsters here. It is an early access, so might want to wait on that one a wee bit.
The next game, speaking of Horde, is Neighbor Horde. This is a huge release. PC, Xbox, and PS4.
All right.
All at the same time.
Ooh.
It looks crazy. This is a crazy looking game.
A couch co-op shoot 'em up where you and your team of friends use toys as weapons and game-changing superpowers to survive the attack of evil robots and zombie Abe Lincoln.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Looks a bit bonkers. Yeah.
Like Smash. Is it like Smash TV meets Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
I think that's exactly what it is by the looks of it, yeah.
It's frantic and colourful. It looks interesting.
Looks all right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting visual style.
What we got?
The next game is Zoel Empire. This is a game that I kept in because, honest to God, I can't tell you what's going on, and the description of it is perfect. The Yabbies used to live in harmony, but everything changed when the Zoel Empire attacked.
Memes!
Isn't Zoel like the name of a YouTuber or something?
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's Glozel.
I think it's Zoella. I'm not sure it's the same thing.
Glozel attacked.
100% original mechanics. I doubt that a lot.
It's like a puzzle game. I have no idea what
is the fuck with this?
I don't know. I love it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you just a thing in a box that rolls. Don't step on certain tiles, I think.
It looks like almost a bit like Ilo Milo, but without any of the stuff that made that endearing.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. All right, what else we got?
The next game is Battle Sloths 2025, The Great Pizza Wars. This is a Rooster Teeth game, and it is a 4-player local online murderation.
I didn't know them Rooster Teeth people made games, but this looks like Nuclear Throne with Rooster Teeth boys in it and sloths and pizza.
You are not wrong. Very much a couch competitive sort of thing.
Watching through this, it seems very inspired by stuff like Nuclear Throne, because one of the desert maps, I looked at it for a second and had to pause it and go, is that the map from Nuclear Throne?
It did look, it does look a bit like that visually, yes, I will admit that. Moving on then.
The next game is Conarium. It is a Lovecraftian horror game.
Bugger that.
Pretty great, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it actually looks kind of cool.
It's got a nice trailer. It's not one of those random indie walk where everything is dark games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing.
Yeah, the outlook
is it another run away from the scary monster and hide game?
I think there is some of that, but I think the premise was that it's supposed to be walk towards the scary shit is supposed to be the thing. Because you're supposed to be exploring the insanity that is
Run, hide, lose your mind is the tagline, apparently.
Yeah.
It's got some very cool art, as you said. Very much like, hey, we took the Lovecraftian theme and did actually make things with that, instead of just said, hey, this is Lovecraftian honest.
Yeah, I got an email about this one this morning, and I saw Lovecraftian horror and rolled my eyes, and then looked in and saw some of the artwork, and then I was like, oh this actually doesn't look too shitty. This has some potential.
Supposedly inspired
I'm just
by
so
the
burnt
Mountains
out
of Madness.
on Run Away from the Scary Man, though.
Yeah,
the good part about this one is that it has multiple endings, which I'm interested in what that means for how you play. Maybe you can go full on crazy. Maybe you can fight going. I don't know. I have no clue.
It's maybe a zoetrope. I've heard of the guys before. I don't know why, but it certainly wasn't associated with anything terrible. So, hey, yeah, that looks pretty good.
The next game is a game that I'm just going to throw a bone to everyone out there who enjoys it. Farming Simulator 18.
Germany.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I edited a review of this today, so I know what's up with it.
Is it good?
Vita.
Okay. Here's the weird thing about Farming Simulator. They alternate years doing like the console and PC release alternating with the handheld releases, but they keep them numbered as if they're sequels to each other. So Farming Simulator 17 on PC and consoles and stuff had a lot of things that are now missing from 18, which is weird. You can't get out of your truck now, so you can't do any of the wandering around casually, slow-paced, looking at your bees and your chickens you're raising and stuff like that. You are just tethered to your truck. And they've increased the pace of everything so that it works better as a handheld game because everything's shorter missions. You can jump in and out of stuff quickly. But that does take away some of the sort of laid back aspect of you're just sort of chilling, running your farm. It's like, no, go. You've got to do the things now. So it's not as good of a game. It is actively missing things from the last entry.
Are you saying they dumbed it down for the casual simulator fans?
Yeah, no, it's slimmed down for portable. It's not a bad version of the game, but it is missing some of the nice laid back get out of your truck and have a look at the things you've actually
Laura,
stuff.
What number did you say it was?
This is 18.
Yeah,
okay.
17 is the one that's on PC right now.
What has changed in that game the other 17 times?
Okay, there's not actually 17 or 18 of them. It's 2018, but it's come out halfway through 2017, like sports games and things do.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of them are there?
Lots.
Goodness knows how many, but a lot.
That's not including all the other simulators of that same.
This one is considered to be one of the ones that are actually good. Like the thing is, you can call anything that, and they're not the same company making them. But stuff like Euro Truck and Farming Simulator are like the top tier good ones, and then there's all the other bullshit.
As much as I would never play one, I kind of love that it's a thing.
Oh yeah, and it's very popular.
Sure, yeah.
There's definitely an audience.
Well-made ones, sure.
I never got Farming Simulator until I started talking to my colleague Joe at Let's Play Video Games about it, and he absolutely loves them. And as someone that likes Euro Truck Sim and American Truck Sim for the sort of laid-back, tune-out, just kind of enjoy watching the world happen around you in those kind of games, I can understand why that's appealing and why losing some of that laid-back aspect would be a negative in the handheld version. So
and you liked that about No Man's Sky as well, didn't you?
I did.
Is there a crossover audience there in the people who enjoyed No Man's Sky and the people who like the kind of slow-paced simulator type games?
I enjoyed No Man's Sky up until I got all like autistic spectrum obsessive looping about it and had to stop because it was legitimately stressing me out and causing me distress. Until then, I loved it.
All right, moving on, Docs.
I enjoyed No Man's Sky up until I played it.
Relevance, cutting edge. Dark Rose Valkyrie coming up next.
Yeah, this is a PS4 game that's an RPG that is your standard anime girls with giant weapons, except there's a really cool mechanic where the idea that these anime girls have these giant weapons like puts a lot of stress on them for some reason. And
because it's bloody heavy.
Well, I mean, like the weapons are, they're superpower anime weapons with magical powers. So they're fighting this evil virus shit, and apparently it can corrupt these girls.
They're fighting anime.
You have to
always fight anime.
Interview and like keep track of these girls before they get fully corrupted and become bad guys themselves.
That's kind of neat.
That's kind of an interesting little mechanic.
Having a look at it, part of it looks like Ace Attorney sort of mechanics going on where it's like do the trial to work out whether your party member is secretly working for the enemy, and
that's kind of cool.
That's yep.
All right, moving on.
Next is Dirt 4, another big release today if you are into cars and dirt.
This snuck out of nowhere. So it's the reviews came out today. I believe they've been generally positive. I heard nothing about it coming up to this. I would have thought this would have been hyped more. Maybe I'm just not particularly in touch with car racing games at the moment. But cool to see a new Dirt game. I think the last one was pretty good from what I've been told. So it was Dirt Rally.
The next game, Super Beat Zionic.
Yep, that's PS4, not on PC, whatever this is.
It is a rhythm game, but the music is fantastic for this game.
That's only hope so in a rhythm game.
Yeah. So it doesn't look particularly like there's a lot to it, but
I played a bit of this on Vita, if it's the game I think it is. It worked really nicely with the touchscreen, and I'm wondering how it controls on PS4. Because I remember it being like just a very upbeat, fast-paced Vita game with the touchscreen. I haven't looked into it enough to know how it plays on the PS4 if there's no touchscreen.
Fair enough. All right, moving on.
The next one is a game that's already out on Steam, but it's now coming to PS4 called The Town of Light. It is a psychological horror thriller instead of a jump scary come get you thriller. So
there's a quote from Brash Games in the trailer. Lovely. Perfect. What an endorsement.
Is Brash Games that website that we're
that is that website,
not paying people, or
the one with Ryan, not that one.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's the one. Lovely. All comes full circle, really, doesn't it?
And finally today on PS4, Victor Vran comes out.
Surprisingly good.
At fucking last. Not because I'm excited to play it, but because the press releases will stop. 3 press releases a day for years about Victor Vran. Victor fucking Vran.
He's good though.
Wait for it to come out on every system ever.
He's
and then
a good game.
Hey, look, I'm sure it is, but I'm in such a bad I take a long time to chill out before I play it because I'm so sick of hearing the name Victor fucking Vran.
There's also DLC. Weird, some 2 weird things. The 2 pieces of expansion DLC, one of which is Motorhead Through the Ages. Yes, that Motorhead. Bunch of Motorhead music, Motorhead characters, Motorhead-inspired monsters, levels, and weapons, and Fractured Worlds, which I think is their main expansion thing, which is coming out.
There's expansions too, so I'm going to hear about those.
Victor Vran. It's a fucking good game, actually. It's really fun.
I've got no real opinion on the game itself. I'm actually eager to check it out after hearing so much about it. But I'm so sick of hearing the name.
I was surprised by it. It was like, oh, this is a shitty Diablo clone. It totally isn't. It's actually really fucking good. All right, moving on.
The next game on our list, June 7th, is Perception on PS4.
Yes, that horror but you're blind thing.
Steam.
Yeah.
What a cool concept for a game. Yeah, it's you're blind and you use echolocation, and it's a horror game. But because you don't see things, you don't necessarily perceive them the way they actually are.
You tap to echolocate and get a sort of Daredevil vision thing going on.
Yeah.
I heard mixed reviews of this one. Some people really did not like it.
Yeah, reviews have been up and down on this one. I've not tried it myself yet, but it's been on my radar because the concept did interest me, and I'm always looking for a new way to do a horror game because I've played too much of the same old horror game.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people, as far as I can tell, some of the reviews have been it's really, really short, and it isn't necessarily a like someone's after you constant threat all the time. And so people, but how would you do that if you're a blind, like that just doesn't make sense gameplay wise. Like you have to feel your way around and okay, now I'm going to run from shit. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I can see it working in a way because I know one of the ideas was, the tapping makes noise. So you don't want to make noise if something's after you.
Right.
And presumably if the thing is making noise, then if you're quiet, you could maybe see like it's breathing or something.
Yeah.
So I could see that working in a cat and mouse thing. If it works that way, again, I've not played it yet. If it works that way, I could definitely see being disappointed not getting more of that because that's a great idea I just had. If they've not done it, it's a great idea I just had.
Yes.
But I'm interested to see what they've done there.
I wish more horror games would go back for kind of the feeling of psychological discomfort and horror that like Silent Hill 2 gives you. And that game's not super hard, and there's never a moment in it where, oh, the scary thing is chasing you. If you don't escape, you're going to die immediately. Well, apart from the pyramid head bits, but it's that thing of like everything in it, the design of it, the subtext of everything making you feel uncomfortable with your own self, in that particular game, your own sexuality, I think was what was most of the metaphors in there were like violence and sex. And why is it that no game has done psychological horror that well since?
Bloody hard. I think it's probably the straight answer to it. Most people have no idea how to do that.
PewDiePie, are you to blame?
Hey, what are you blaming me for? I don't play horror games. It's got nothing to do with me. You blame Felix if you like, but it's got nothing to do with me. I just think it's genuinely hard. It's like saying, well, why aren't there so many great series that are as good as Breaking Bad or The Wire? Because it's really hard to make those
really
well.
Hard
it's just you kind of would hope that we'd have at least.
I would love to see more developers.
I
would love to see more developers try to do that instead of the run away from the scary man thing.
I'm hoping Outlast 2 is the end of run away from the scary man for a while, especially with the success of Resident Evil 7 relative to that. I'm hoping we get back to a little bit more combat horror as opposed to run away.
Resident Evil 7, while not psychologically not on the level of Silent Hill 2, was fucking great.
It never intended to be, did it?
I loved how it was a return to the kind of campy,
there's good schlock horror,
stuck in the one location goodness of Resident Evil 1.
The ending of that game. That was the best. I was so happy that it was just like, fuck it. I was like, yeah.
The ending?
Yeah. I'm not going to even mention it. I'm just going to say, if you've seen the ending of Resident Evil 7, it's a welcome like moment.
It was well done. Very well. Yeah. Very well put together.
It set things up nicely for the next one, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which would probably be a fucking action shooter because this one didn't sell as well as 6. So.
I mean, 7 sold very well. I don't know if it's sold. 6 sold inexplicably well. I don't know why that is. But
6 sold really well, and they weren't happy with the sales.
Well, that's Capcom for you, innit?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the June the 8th releases.
All right, so the first game is Lines, and this game just looks like a real chill game. Like, pop on some tunes and just line it up.
Yeah, nice little Zen game. They even describe it as just that, a colourful race to fill the drawing.
The next game I chose because anime boobies.
Well,
it's called Amber's Magic Shop.
Uh-huh.
And Amber...
It's a crafting dating sim, Jim. The dating sims have crafting now.
Oh, good. How fucking good.
I had a look at this, and it looks like you're shoving mechanics into Fallout Shelter.
Oh my!
I'm like, that's something.
Mamma mia, I like a lot.
It has 3 Otomi, 1 Yuri, and 2 Poly, whatever that means.
Yeah,
the poly is polyamory, so you can date multiple people at once.
Yes.
Yuri is lesbian.
Mixed fabrics.
I don't know what Otome is.
I don't know what that is either.
I don't recognize the term. I know the word, but I don't know what it means.
So I just Googled this, and I have to say this is refreshing how when you said anime boobies, and I Google it, and these women look of age.
Right. Well, they're not.
That is very refreshing.
If there was like little kid anime, that would have been scrapped. It wouldn't even been on the list. But this is like a sexy blue girl, so she's on. Plus, you play her, I think, and so like you can hook up with sexy elf boys. It's perfect. There's not
people in the chat are saying Otome is just big breasts.
Oh, okay.
Apparently.
According to this, an Otome game is a story-based video game, I'm just reading off Wikipedia, targeted towards the female market. Generally, one of the goals is to develop a romantic relationship between the female player character and one of several male or occasional female
So it's the other way around.
Bernard, Danielle, and Laura.
So I would guess, they just
so
mean...
It's your female towards male, female on female, you've got one option, or there's 2 poly routes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
The chat just said Jesse is into Smurfs.
What? Yeah.
There's a dirty jerk There's a dirty jerk.
There's a very dirty jerk.
A dirty jerk. Now there's a Freudian slip.
Don't worry, Jesse. You're not alone in liking the blue ladies. It's all right.
Yeah, man. I can't help it. It's blue. I love blue. All right.
I'll take a good Liara any day. It's all good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Those little aliens in the Eiffel 65 video that Gav likes so much, that's probably why he likes the
Not
song.
happening. Moving on.
Okay, next is Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap.
I got something to say about this one.
What you got?
Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a... No, I won't do that.
About a wonder guy who...
I was just
No.
One of the things
present for
Wonder Boy. What is
So
the
have you
secret of
seen
your power?
the actual gameplay of this game where people have chosen the girl character?
Yeah, you can play as Wonder Girl.
And it changes the title screen and everything. I think it's
That's neat.
really sweet and pretty great.
I am a big fan that is a thing.
Yeah,
There's also a playable
Wonder
mouse,
Girl.
a playable lizard.
This is a good remake. I've played a fair bit of it. It's good.
Did y'all see Wonder Woman?
I did,
and I
know.
love
Oh, it's so good.
I'll go to
so
see it
good.
sooner rather
It's
than later.
so fucking good.
Glad to hear it doesn't suck.
Oh,
It's the best thing
it
DC
completely
made in years.
blows the other DC movies.
Absolutely.
That
There's
would
just
not
no
take much, but
comparison.
yeah. Sounds good. All right, moving on.
The next game is
Keep your head up,
Gone Here.
Goner
No.
on Switch. Yeah, this is
It's
already
been
out on
Switch.
PC.
It's been out a while on.
Yeah, it's a procedurally generated 2D platform with roguelike elements. Of course, it is. Yeah,
It looks really cool. It's very strange looking and totally bizarre, and I love that about it. So
All of the things are colorful silhouettes.
yeah, art style's nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice art style.
also on Switch, a game that is fantastic. I love Shantae, Half Genie Hero.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Good.
It's a really good
June
game.
9th, Medieval Kingdom Wars. This is
Sounds-
a game that just looked super interesting, if not a giant mess of men fighting on a battlefield. So
Probably that. I mean, it's early access. It's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. It's like big medieval fights. It's like, this is not going to work.
yeah, something's gonna happen every minute.
I played the other one of these, not that one. There's another one, Ultimate Battle Simulator.
I'm not
And it's
entirely
actually
sure
kind
it's
of a laugh.
the same thing, but okay.
Bear in mind, he
I
likes
think he
the
might-
Warriors games.
Fair. Yes. Yeah, there's like a
really
bit of like
good, excellent Warriors game.
strategy in this and stuff. Yeah, I'll check it out when it's done.
The next game is World of One. This is a indie puzzle platformer with like a globe physics, but it's also super grim and dark and like
Lovely art style on this too. Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on in this game. Like it's. I think about depression. I have no clue what the.
Yeah. Kind of dark art style, a lot of silhouettes, minimal lighting. But yeah, you kind of walk around on basically a globe level, so it curves around a bit.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Boss fight things they show later are crazy looking.
I'm getting some insane Shadow Planet, like insane Twisted Shadow Planet vibes from some of these bosses here.
Yeah.
I looked up screenshots, and that's literally what I thought it was.
Yeah. Looks good.
This looks really cool.
All right, next.
The next game is Squids from Space. Team-based PvP, top-down shooter. Squid people versus humans.
Not Splatoon. They've got the market cornered now. I will not accept another Squid game. I'm sorry.
No.
This is slightly different because these squids are in robot spacesuits.
Of
They're
course.
piloting them like that alien in Men in Black who was piloting the human suit.
Absolutely.
All right,
As one would do.
An Egger suit.
All right, moving on.
The next game is called The Vagrant.
Plays Vivian the Vagrant, a traveling sellsword. Doing what exactly? Oh,
Selling swords, I guess.
that looks very suspiciously like Odin's Sphere. I don't know if you saw the running animation and the aesthetic type when she was moving around. It's like, this looks like a Vanillaware game. But it obviously isn't.
Yeah, it looks very similar. Very, very similar, actually.
Suspiciously similar.
Uh-huh.
Who made this? It's Chinese developed OTK games.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the level progression screens that they show in the trailer, and it just looks like Odin Sphere, but very stripped down and simplified and nowhere near as interesting.
Yes, yeah.
It might be good, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Early access.
Early access.
All right, moving on.
The next game is Jump Stars. It is a cooperative and competitive game, so there can be only one winner, but you have to work together for certain things, which I think is interesting. It's couch co-op.
I like that idea where you work together until you have to betray somebody at the optimal moment. That's a really fun mechanic to do on the couch. Yeah, this looks pretty neat.
The next game, Dirt 4, we already talked about it. But
Yeah, I think it's PC release. Yeah.
And the game after that is Gray Skies, Dark Waters. It is an interesting looking game that I just picked because it's different. I
like the title. I'm a fan of a video game with a good title. It's why I liked A Machine for Pigs, because it's just a title that sounds very unique. Because there are so many games that are like Dark Chapters of Chronicles and all that bollocks. So when I hear something like that, I'm like, okay, that's got my attention.
Yeah, it's supposedly a modern interpretation of old folk tales and such.
Call of War Origins then wouldn't be your kind of type.
Get some Origins in there, man.
Tantalize me very much. No.
Yeah. All right, and
what was that one called, Jesse?
Gray Skies, Dark Waters.
Yeah, it doesn't actually look quite like something I'd play, but I like the name. I like the name a lot.
The name did stick out to me too. Yeah.
Last but by no means least, this one title right here.
Yes, just in time for E3. Super Dimension Neptune versus Sega Hard Girls.
Yep.
Sega Hard Girls. I mean, it's up there with A Machine for Pigs in terms of my favorite titles or something.
I believe
Hard Girls sounds.
It was
awesome.
Okay, it is actually what you think it is. If I recall correctly, there was an anime which was just anthropomorphized Sega consoles as anime girls.
Oh yeah, there have been several games on this concept. The one of them that I played was absolutely god awful.
I imagine.
As I understand this is a crossover between two separate properties that both independently made cute anime girls out of video game consoles.
Oh, like Puppet Master versus Evil Toys.
Yeah. So Hyperdimension Neptunia is the one where it's like all of the consoles across all the companies have moe anime characters.
Okay.
But then this is also like a separate property where the Sega consoles are people and they're crossing them over. So it's just a bunch of anime girl game consoles on an adventure.
I don't understand video games anymore.
The Mega Drive.
This makes me wonder if I ever did.
Yeah, I think I played one of the ones that were on PS3 and it was dreadful. Okay. Absolutely dreadful to play.
I did not expect it to be incredible, I will admit. This has not convinced me to try it.
Don't you want to play a game with such wonderful names for its female cast members as Game Gear, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, Mega Drive?
Don't understand.
This is a free game, right?
This is a
No.
what is it?
No, it's Sega.
Surely they're breaking some trademark laws there.
No, this is licensed.
They're naming their own because Sega are involved.
Sega Hard Girls was licensed by Sega, yes.
Do they have? Is it Genesis or Mega Drive?
Good question.
Apparently,
You Yankee
it's Mega
scrubs
Drive,
with your
and according-
Genesis.
According to the
it says
wiki
Mega
I'm looking at, it's Mega Drive.
That's a Mega Drive. Good. That's what I like.
These
I hear it.
anthropomorphized console
Was
girl.
it?
If
Was
it
it
comes
the
to
Genesis?
America though, and they change it to Genesis, I will have that localizer for censorship.
Was it the Genesis or Mega Drive on the continent? Was it just UK and Ireland that got the Mega Drive, or was that all of Europe?
I don't know. Wasn't in Europe
Anyone?
at the
Why
time.
wasn't it Genesis? Why didn't you have Genesis? Why was it Mega Drive?
Because there's
Because
a
they were a
band
very
that's
popular
really-
band at the time who had
Yeah.
such amazing hits. As,
Oh,
she seems to have
yeah.
an invisible touch.
I mean, yes, we everyone knows Genesis, please. But why was that allowed? I guess copyright laws.
Because
There's gonna be-
Phil Collins is the king of Europe, and he
you're right,
wasn't
you're
too
right.
happy with it.
He
you know?
issued one of his royalty
When-
free.
When Europe voted for its king in 1981, Phil Collins won, and you got to respect democracy. I mean,
Incredible.
According to the chat, Genesis was only in North America. That's the only place it was called the Genesis.
So the problem was
Every
rare.
other country in the world, it was the Mega Drive.
North America being the odd one out as always.
Here's the thing, I can absolutely believe that in North America there were lawyers involved saying you can't call this a Genesis because such and such is a Genesis. Like,
Yeah.
if any country would have that as the immediate reason for something, it would be
So
there with
what
lawyers.
we can
That's what the song "In the Air Tonight" is about. Really,
we
Well,
can all agree that
didn't Peter
Jesse is
Gabriel
wrong,
move
though.
to America after he left Genesis?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe it was his lawyers.
Fine,
I like
let's-
Peter Gabriel. Nowadays, he looks like he should live in a secret volcano lair.
Yeah,
He's
he does.
awesome. He's
I
got
saw-
fully bald, white goatee on him. Wears, Peter Gabriel clothes, so he looks like a proper supervillain. It's brilliant.
I
like his-
saw him.
well.
I saw him play live a year and a half ago in Finland, and he did the entire So album. Holy fuck!
Nice.
Amazing. Sorry,
Jesse, you're
Gav's
American,
music
you're wrong.
podcast.
You're wrong in American, Jesse.
You have no clue how much I feel that way recently. Don't worry.
It's fine. We've cornered you. You're the only American here. We'll just blame you for everything.
I love how 1, 2, 3 of you live in America, but Jesse's the only American here.
True enough.
Damn, that's the hardest truth bomb that has ever been dropped.
You damn immigrants.
Well, that's it. That's for the games. We're
Pretty
done.
much.
We're done.
We're
with
done.
games.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the show, folks. We have E3 on the way. I'm sure some of us are doing something related to E3. Jesse, what are you doing related to E3?
On Sunday, I'm going to the Xbox and Bethesda conferences, and then
Oh, nice.
I'm going to sit around here at the office with everyone else and watch the rest on Monday. And then Tuesday, I'll be here with you podcasting. And then Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to go down to the show floor and see what's what, I guess. So
All
that's
right.
my plans.
Jim live tweeting, I imagine, is part of the plan there.
That's my typical tradition. I'll be
Uh-huh.
live tweeting. I'll probably throw up some videos just discussing what I think of the various conferences the days after. But yeah, mostly tweeting.
Sounds good. Laura, any plans and coverage?
I will be watching the conferences, maybe tweeting about them, mainly watching out for hey, are any of those things that I talked about in the past year going to show up at E3? And that'll be my E3.
Yeah. And Gav, I assume you're just going to have a beer and wait for all this to blow over, right?
No, man, I'm going to be on Twitter getting,
He loves this
guy.
getting really excited
getting
and
into it.
putting
Very
out a
nice.
little bit of snark, but not too much. And as a musician, I'm just going to keep working on the only hint I'll give you is there you go.
I'm not enlightened, but I can't wait to be.
No.
On the
Jesse
subject of
looks like-
snark, on the other hand,
Jesse
we will...
looks like it's about to break on the top of his brain.
Something is. He's getting one step closer to the edge and he's about to break.
He saw the movie too, so
Okay. Well, we, on the other hand, will be snarking the hell out of E3. Myself and the missus are going to sit down for the annual Snarkathon, which will be streamed right here on twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit. We'll be talking obnoxiously over most of the major conferences. EA on Saturday, Microsoft and Bethesda on Sunday, Ubisoft, Sony on Monday. We will also probably do Devolver if they don't clash with anything else. There'll be supercuts available on the YouTube channel, which will hopefully be the funny bits, assuming we have any of them, which is not guaranteed. But we'll be pissing on everybody's parade from the comfort of our own home, immune to regular criticism, which is exactly what you should do, really. It's an honorable profession we have right here, that I can tell you. So do remember to hang out for that. Catch the VODs or the supercuts if you miss them, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And, of course, brand new podcast on Tuesday. Jenna will be guesting on that one as well, since she's watching all the conferences with me. So she'll be joining me then along, supposedly with Dodger. She's apparently going to be there. We'll see. She's gallivanting around Europe at the moment. She should be back. And Jesse as well. Big thanks to the entire cast of the Jimquisition podcast. Podquisition, thank you very much for your attendance today. If they want to find your podcast, where do they go?
You can go on thejimquisition.com. Make sure you add the because someone jumped on jimquisition.com. And it's a constant back and forth regarding that. But thejimquisition.com, or go to SoundCloud, look up Jimquisition. And that's about it to get on that, to get onto that. And if I may also just quickly plug for a friend.
By all means.
His Kickstarter hit its goal last night. He's doing a book called Lost Artifacts of Greygast, which is still, it's 15 days into its Kickstarter now, so they're hitting stretch goals. It's the biggest magic item compendium for D&D 5th edition that anyone's tried to do.
Cool.
And he's got fantastic artwork. I believe the cover has a character I played because he was my DM, the guy running this. He was my DM in D&D for many years. So characters like Flynn Flashwood and Vox the Profane that I've talked about in my videos before show up in lore and everything. So yeah, it's an exciting project and book, and well done to Flannel for pulling that off.
Lovely. Below our names the last 3 hours is where you can find us on YouTube. Go check us out. Go and have a look at Gab's new music over at youtube.com/Miracleofsound. New videos coming out from myself, Jesse, Laura most likely, and Jim. I would imagine he has been known for doing such things over the next week or so prior to E3. I think that's pretty much about it. Thank you very much to our sponsor today, Squarespace. Head over to squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% for your first order and a free trial. Go make a website everybody else bloody has. You might as well get on the bandwagon, and we will see you past E3, assuming that we do actually survive the event. We may or may not. There is no guarantees. Thanks for watching the Coopquisition podcast. Our internet mostly held up, and I am very impressed by that.
And thanks for having us on, guys. It was fun.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome. Always nice to have people that can talk in our stead so we can just sit here and coast through the experience.
We'll have to do it with six next time when Dodger's back.
No.
Make it elimination.
Oh,
She's gonna be so pissed off she missed this.
Six-man elimination.
We'll get all six in, and whoever's internet connection drops first, they're the one that has
Six-pack challenge.
Mine held up for 3 hours, guys. That's
there will be
first.
no
Rocky
pinfalls.
Start, but you did all right.
No submissions. The only way to win is by having your internet connection hold up.
Internet knockout.
Tonight, in this very
ring.
Knockout.
Weighing in at 235 pounds. I know I need to drop some. Total Biscuit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not fucking me.
Yes, I would do it. You know I would. Thank you very much for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. What better way to experience the E3 press conferences than through the lens of two utterly miserable people? Streaming live on twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit over the E3 weekend, myself and Jenna will be covering, riffing on, and generally pissing on the parade of the big E3 press conferences. Check out the schedule on the screen right now and tune in live. Uncut VODs available immediately for Twitch subscribers, and supercut videos coming to youtube.com/cynicalbrit.